We've got a lot to go over today. We've got so much news on screen. These could have all been individual live streams, but we're here to break it down in one big live stream. DeVonta Smith getting his deal done. Inking that deal, what's it do to even the deals above him? JJ, Lamb, no-shows. We're going to talk about those guys. Voluntary workouts, mind you, but no shows today at voluntary workouts. Devon Achane's getting pumped up. This guy looks like he weighs 10, 15 pounds more than he did last year. I've got a graphic right here. We're going to go over that in a second. Devon Achane looks like he's been hitting the weight room like no other. This guy was skinny last year. He's ripped. What does that mean for Devon Achane walking into 2024? Good Lord. I just did my running back ranking video yesterday. I'm pretty sure Achane moves up to JT spot tied at 7 and not tied with Jacobs at 8. Or they're all three tied for 7. Go watch that video. That video is up. All this news and more. So much more. Look at all the news on the screen. This is going to be probably the most, I think, impacting, news-filled show we've had in months. There's so much to go over right here. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. File on in.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios.
It's the Fantasy Football Show.
Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
This is a action-packed show right in front of your face right now. Let's start off with Devon Achane, because I can't tease you with that and then put that on the back burner. This guy comes out, and I don't know how much weight he added when you look at this thing. It looks like, God, that looks like about 10 to 15 pounds. Devon Achane weighed about, I would say, 191, 189, 191 last year. He's over 200 pounds. Devon Achane, 5'9", is no longer a small running back. He's 5'9". What was Priest Holmes? Ziggy, how tall was Priest Holmes? I think he was 5'7".
Prince was 5 feet.
Not Prince. Not Prince. How tall? Ziggy. How tall was Priest Holmes? Good God.
Priest Holmes weighs 213 pounds and is 5'9".
5'9". Ziggy off. I think he was actually like 5'8", the way that they measured back then. This guy is almost the size of Priest Holmes now. He's probably about 204 or 5 pounds, I would say, looking at this. But that is insane. And if anybody thinks we're worried about him losing speed, he was so quick, he could give away miles per hour and still be faster than everybody on the field. I'm not concerned about him slowing down at all. This is one of the quickest guys in the NFL. This is arguably the league's most likely yards per carry NFL history leader. That's how good he is and what kind of course of this guy's on. Look at his face even. Look how skinny he looks on the left. And how massive his neck looks on the right. His shoulders, his arms. What in the hell am I doing with my life? What am I doing with my life? If this guy can lift while he's just out working, what am I doing? Why did I put down the weights weeks ago? I haven't done a curl in weeks. I haven't done a single push-up in 2 or 3 days. This is it. This is the day that Smitty gets transformed. The Devon Achane news is the day that Smitty decides to get back in shape. I'm doing it. If he did it, I'm doing it. He did it, I'm doing it. Do it live.
Mashed potatoes.
Do it live. Do it live. Today's the day. Who else is going to start working out during Devon Achane Day? Devon Achane workout whatever day. What are we going to call this? What are we going to coin it? What are we going to call it? Hit me with a potential phrase here. What are we coining this thing? Devon Achane. We'll get to that in a second. Let me put that over in the corner. But God, this guy looks like he's probably going to be a top 5, 6, 7 running back right now. I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it. Okay, I'm out of breath. Good God. Your boy's not ready for that, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it live.
And off he goes.
Oh, no.
To the...
Wrong button. Wrong button. Planet Uranus. I sent myself to Planet Uranus. Okay, so Lamb and JJ, these guys were no shows today. Voluntary workouts. Nobody's concerned, but it does send a message. It's a little bit of a shot over the bow, right? Hey, we're waiting for our contracts. Yeah, we might show up when it is mandatory, but during voluntary workouts, we will not be there. And this man, DeVonta Smith, comes in, signs a big fat extension today. The Eagles have paid another big-time rising player. This time, DeVonta Smith gets a 3-year, $75 million contract extension that includes $51 million guaranteed, sources say. The deal was done, blah, blah, blah. Keep Smith in Philly for years to come. There's such a impact of this. There's so much impact to other players and contracts, even the contracts above them, right? It's all an interconnected web. Devon Achane strong. That's what we're going to call this. Okay, here's my gun as of today. I'm flexing. It's just kind of, it's not fat, like nothing's bouncing, but it's just there. It's kind of like I'm wearing a meat suit. I'm not cut. There's a little bit of definition there. Devon Achane changed my life today. I'm working out. Are you working out? Devon Achane has changed our lives today, and we do it live. Who's with me? Today is April 15, tax day. Very easy to remember. When did you start working out? Tax day, same day of Devon Achane day. The day we realized he became a top, 5 or 6 running back, the day he put on 10, 15 LBs, the day he turned from, skinny, scrawny kid that you'd see on the street and he'd go, I'm Devon Achane. You say, yeah, right, whatever, buddy. To the, oh my God, where do you play football, son? Where do you play? Look at this man. This guy gets out of his car, right? You steal his parking spot. He gets out of his car and goes, excuse me, sir. You took my spot. You say, get lost, scrawny kid. This guy gets out of his car and says, bro, I was waiting for that spot. You'd say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. There's your spot, sir. Your parking spot. I'm sorry about that. The difference between these two gentlemen is like night and day. That's about 10 to 15 LBs, if you ask me. That's a lot of mom's meatloaf. That guy's been pumping iron. Devon Achane day. So this little this little ball of mass that has no definition whatsoever underneath. You don't see it smiling at all. There's nothing here. It's there. It's solid, but I'm just a big waste of space. Not anymore. Tax day, April 15, Devon Achane day is the day I turned my life around. And the day that some of you did too. All you got to do is make the decision and let's do it together. Day two's tomorrow. Devon Achane to the moon. Okay. Jeez, I'm just excited about that one. DeVonta Smith resets the market, or doesn't reset the market. He kind of solidifies the market, if you will. This is kind of like on the back of Ridley's deal. $25 million is obviously higher. Ridley's, I believe, was 23, right? So Ridley 23, he does kind of reset the market for his type of wide receiver. Let me just, God, this is the part that's going to be, it's going to be hard for some people to hear, and a lot of people, I think, that don't have goggles on are going to agree. Brandon Aiyuk doesn't deserve more money than DeVonta Smith. They deserve the same. They do deserve the same. I think they're right in the same bucket. You could have one over the other in your rankings. You could have one over the other in terms of talent evaluation, but they do not belong far apart, if at all. And so you got to ask the question, were the Niners expecting to pay $25 million a year? This is a $75 million deal. 75 divided by 3 is 25 for those of you paying attention. And so 25, the real number is guaranteed though, right? How much guaranteed money? 51. Would it really get 50, right? So I want more than Ridley. Okay, we'll give you 51 instead of 50. So That's kind of the most important number, but the per year is definitely a flex for these players, and they do take it seriously, and they do actually, hold firm on it. I don't know that the Niners were prepared or are prepared to pay 25 plus. So one of two things got to happen. Niners who say, oh, we're going to wait and do it the Niner way. We're going to wait. Oh, the Debo plan. Debo did it. It's the worst plan in the world. Like, you watch the contract values go up. You watch the player get more upset. And then you try and come together later when the fans are pissed off at Brandon Aiyuk. They're already turning on him. There's about 20-30% of the fan base is saying things like, kick rocks, we don't need him, he's a diva, get him out of here. It's just stupidity by a franchise that continues to do amazing things on the field. Unbelievable. The Niners franchise is unbelievable from top to bottom in so many ways. Some of that, we don't know what it's going to look like without Adam Peters, though. The drafting part of that, Adam Peters left. He's in Washington doing Washington things now. But the Niners organization, give them credit where credit's due. They are phenomenal on so many levels. But what they're horrible at is tied to Shanahan, his quarterback decision-making. Oh, but Brock Purdy, you lucked out because Adam Peters was on board. Adam Peters, who I just said went to Washington, had a big hand, from what I hear, in that Brock Purdy drafting. He was always in charge of the later draft picks, mid-draft on. Kittle, Brock Purdy. This guy was an absolute gem at finding, talent. And so we'll see how that shapes up. But personnel, quarterback decision-making, Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance, how you've ruined Trey Lance. Trey Lance got ruined. Trey Lance did not fail. He was failed. They failed him. And so now you've got the way of doing contracts, the way of doing business, sign later. DeVonta Smith just made Aiyuk's value go up for sure. It kind of helped Aiyuk, and it kind of helped the Niners both find out what the market value is. And if the Niners were smart, they would jump on this right now and just nip it in the bud. Get rid of the problem. Use $25 million and say, look, DeVonta Smith just got it. $25 million, 3 years. You want to go for it? That's fine, but it's $25 million times 4, $100 million deal, and you're going to get $54 million guaranteed. 51, 55, we'll give you 55, but that's it. We'll give you more guaranteed money, but you're not getting more per year. It's 25. That's it. And Aiyuk's got to come to terms of saying, I wanted 27, but I just saw DeVonta Smith get 25. I want to get paid. I could get that money right now. Okay, I'll go ahead and do it. They come to an agreement. They shake. Boom. The problem you have is this man right here, JJ. This man right here, Lamb. And that Aiyuk believes that he is on their level, probably. In his own mind, he feels like he's a rising star receiver, which he is to a degree. We believe he's really DeVonta Smith, which is a top freaking 12, 15 wide receiver. That's an amazing wide receiver, but Aiyuk thinks he's top 5, and part of me thinks that he does believe he's worth way more than DeVonta Smith, way more than Ridley, way more than these guys getting 23, 25. So the problem is, though, every deal, the JJ and Lamb deals, if they get done, are going to pull up that 25 to 27. And the Niners might be barely willing to bend on the 25 off the back of the DeVonta Smith contract extension. Like, hey, we were only going to go 24, but damn it, look what our waiting did. Now we have to accept 25, but we're not going higher than 25. Then he signs a $31 million per year deal, and he signs a $30 million per year deal. And Aiyuk goes, I'm getting 27, 28. Screw this. And then now there's this gap that can't be closed. That's the problem. I don't want to hear this is the Debo way. No crap. We all know this is the Debo way. The Debo blueprint was awful. That's what we're afraid of. Sound the alarm. The Debo blueprint made Debo play like trash. The Debo blueprint, it's not his fault. It's the Niners' fault. The Debo blueprint made Bosa play like trash for at least half a year. You're not ready. You're not prepared. You're holding out all this. Now, he may still show up during all of this, but at some point he's going to dial it back. The fake trade request that we reported on the other day, which I have no shame in reporting, that outlets everywhere were putting. I have people saying, Smitty, are you going to apologize? Absolutely not. That was out there everywhere. Sleeper announced it. The Score announced it. Everybody announced it. We announced it. They announced it. Smitty, you totally jumped the gun. No, I didn't. What did I do? I reported that according to The Score, according to Sleeper, according to big sources everywhere, this had happened. I reported on what they reported. It's on them, not us. We came in 2 minutes into the live stream, corrected the record as soon as his agent's retweet caught wind. People are out of their mind. People are out of their mind. This is smoke season. This kind of stuff happens all the time. It'll happen again. And the way we operate is we put sources on screen. I tell you who's giving us the information. If it's wrong on them, then we won't trust them going forward quite as much. But that is on them, not on us, not on me. And I know people expect a certain, like, oh, he must feel stupid. I don't feel anything at all. I wouldn't redo it if you told me I could. If I could press a button and go back in time, I wouldn't press it because this is how it unfolds. And this is the interesting part about the offseason. DeVonta Smith signing his big fat extension. What does it do for these gentlemen up top? Not showing up for voluntary, might I remind you, voluntary workouts. That is JJ. This one right here is Ceedee. Lamb not expected to attend Dallas voluntary program. Not a big deal. I think this can of worms gets opened later if this thing doesn't get resolved, in the coming weeks. But we'll see what happens. I think the Niners are a little bit worried about what they're doing at quarterback. I think that's going to definitely play a role in what they do when they do it with JJ and go from there. Rashee Rice, there's more news about Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice is being sued for $1 million by two victims from the March 30 crash in Dallas, the 6-car pileup caused by Rashee Rice, who was driving a Lamborghini, which he leased. He had a Corvette, which he was in his name. And the individual driving the Corvette was an SMU college defensive back. SMU suspended him near immediately once it was announced that it was him driving, and the Chiefs have not done anything yet. And in fact, the opposite, really. Andy Reid spoke on this. I have it right here. Andy Reid said, "I'm leaving it at that," after suggesting that he's spoken with Rashee Rice. Like we've done most of these, all the law enforcement part take place, and then we will go from there. So it sounds like, at least from Andy Reid's perspective, nothing will be done. Nothing will be done. God, Achane, I can't believe Achane gained 10, 15 pounds. Let's look at this one more time while it's right here. Achane, look at Achane. Look at Achane beefing up. What is going on here? Smitty's going to do it live. Congratulations for all of you who have accepted my live challenge with you right now to become Devon Achane. Let's go up in terms of weight, down in weight, whatever your goal might be, whether it's maybe just to walk more. I don't care what it is. Don't think you have to lift. Like, Devon Achane transformed his life right now. He transformed your fantasy football value. He transformed our mindsets right now. Whether it's losing weight and just walking 10,000 steps per day. Where's my Fitbit? When I have it charged, I haven't worn it for a couple days. This thing's going back on. We're back on a routine, baby. 10,000 steps a day. Want to up it to 15 eventually. Let's set it at 10,000. 10,000. That means I got a lot of work to go tonight. Because tonight it all starts. Congratulations. Devon Achane Day, baby. Devon Achane Day is here to stay. Devon Achane Day is here to stay. Let me come back to that. We're definitely coming back to that the whole show. I'll tell you that. Rashee Rice being sued for $1 million. This is going to mess with his head. This is not somebody you want to go near. The league could step in and put him on paid leave. I've talked about that before. Oh, Smitty, the NFL always waits to do anything. They let the legal process play out. They do, but they don't have to. They can put them on paid leave and say, hey, until, innocent until proven guilty, for sure. That's why you're going to get paid. But there's the door. We don't want you on the field. We don't want to, as Mike Florio reported on it, have to explain every time you're on screen, have this like spiel we got to go through and go, okay, he's going through this, don't condone drag racing, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's got to explain on camera why Rashee Rice is in uniform, why he's on the field. I really believe there's a strong lean here for the NFL eventually. They don't have to do anything yet because the season's so far away. They can kind of wait it out, see if it gets worse, see if it gets better, see if it resolves itself, but they don't have to do anything yet. Andy Reid's not doing anything yet. The Chiefs could. SMU did. There's a lot of pressure and eyeballs on the Chiefs to take action because SMU did. But, we'll see what happens there. This right here, Adams happy staying with the Raiders. If I wanted to be gone, I'd be gone by now. If Adams wanted to be gone, he'd be gone. He's telling you, I love where I'm at. First of all, he loves his head coach. He said he walked through a brick wall, run through a brick wall, bust through a brick wall for him, and I believe that is accurate. He loves his head coach. This entire team loves Pierce. They would go through fire for him. We just hope they get a QB. I do believe Penix Jr. ends up in Las Vegas or Minnesota. However, Penix Jr. is such a big prospect right now. But Smitty, Penix Jr., it's February, Smitty. This is January 15. You're crazy. Nobody likes Penix Jr. He's barely scouted by the scouts, Smitty. They do this for a living. You don't, do you? Oh, you do. So, yeah, they have him not even as a first-round pick. Well, it's strange you say that because Penix Jr. is visiting with the Patriots on this fine evening. And tomorrow, the Commanders. Okay, I'm not saying he's going to. He could go 3. Anybody that thinks that he can't climb between now, 11 days, and number 3, like between now and draft day, to number 3, you haven't watched a lot of football, I don't think, because we've seen guys climb in the 11th hour from the 10 overall to the number 1 overall pick. It's happened before. Cam Newton had a very, very quick climb. It happens all the time. And there are a lot of very important people that know what they're talking about. Like your boy's been saying all offseason long that this is one of the most NFL-ready quarterbacks, if not the most NFL-ready in this draft class. That this guy's the best arm out of everybody in the NFL draft class. You can say Caleb's got a cannon or a strong arm, but is his arm overall better than Penix Jr.'s? Absolutely not. That's my opinion. You can think whatever you want about Caleb. Caleb's not even in my top 3 QBs from this draft class. This man right here might not even make it to Minnesota's 11 pick. This man right here will be hard-pressed to make it all the way to this Las Vegas Raiders pick. So I don't know that we're looking at Penix Jr. even making it past 11 at this point. I think that even if teams here don't need a quarterback, the Giants say we're not going to go after him, they could trade out. The Titans could trade out. These teams right in this range, the Chargers could trade out. They want an offensive lineman, potentially. Joe Alt may not fit their mold in situation because of position, the exact position of need on offensive line. So maybe they look at a couple other, the 2 and 3 offensive linemen and say, let's go to 11 where we can still get one of them that we love and move this down. And not to mention, like, Harbaugh is all about the team. It has nothing to do with one individual. He even redid all the lockers. Like, these are pro athletes. And I'm not saying it isn't good. I'm not saying that it won't work. Everybody keeps saying, Smitty, you're going to be wrong about Harbaugh. He's going to do great. I never once have said Harbaugh will fail. Not once. In fact, I've said the opposite. Harbaugh could definitely succeed and win games and be an absolute good coach in the NFL right away, just like he was back in the day. But I believe he's bringing a different mentality than people think, and it's not going to be as fantasy football friendly as you think. It's not going to be conducive to fantasy football scoring. Herbert's not going to be an elite quarterback. He'll be a good quarterback, but not an elite quarterback. You don't even know if they're taking neighbors. They might really want to take an offensive lineman. That's where that Harbaugh wants to build, through the trenches, running the football, running the damn ball. Gus Bus is their guy they bring in, not a big name guy like Henry or Barkley. It's all about the team. He goes into the locker room and reorganizes the locker room by alphabetical order. These are not things that a lot of players love. These are players that want to have control of their life and not feel like they're in a regimen or a boot camp of sorts, and that's the way he's bringing the college mentality to it. Wouldn't shock me at all if he's like, we don't need a neighbors. We don't need a neighbors. We don't need a Doomsday. We don't need a Marvin Harrison Jr. We can go get a guy. Let's go get Roman Wilson. Let's bring in all these Michigan guys. We can get a guy. We need the trenches solidified. And there's nothing wrong with that. It can win. It could 100% win. 100%. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just not as fantasy friendly as people are going to anticipate. They could move out of this pick. Penix Jr. could get taken number 5 by a team like Minnesota. Penix Jr. could get taken number 5 by a team like Las Vegas. He could go 6 to the Giants. He could get taken at 7 or 8 or 9 if these teams trade out. These are all teams very capable, 5 down, really 4 too if someone offered the right price tag. We're hearing 3 first rounders, a first rounder move down and 2 additional first rounders. So example of that would be 4 to 11. That's the move down. You get the 1 pick for 1. So you're not really getting 3 first rounders. You're moving down 1, and then you get 2 additional. Minnesota's 23 and a 2025 first rounder. That's what it would cost. 11, 23, and a future first rounder for the 4 overall. Cardinals are capable of doing it. Is anybody capable of paying it? Probably not. So Marvin Harrison Jr. likely to go to the Cardinals at number 4, which is great news for me in Arizona. Chargers, I would say Neighbors is not even 50% likely of getting selected at this point. He's probably a 35-40% chance, which is still a high percentage chance he still could be there. Not saying he won't be. I'm just trying to tell you that this is not as locked and loaded because we feel it's the best fit. We look at their wide receiver room and say it's empty. Of course they're going Neighbors. Don't be so quick to judge on that. It's an elite offensive line class and an elite wide receiver class. You could say there's value on either end. Let's wait on a lineman, there's value. Let's wait on a wide receiver, there's value. Harbaugh's more inclined to wait on a wide receiver or go Bowers than anything else at this point, in my opinion. But this thing could change in a millisecond. As we head back over to this other developing news, Aaron Rodgers, look at the swagger. I'm so excited. This guy walking into to day 1 with a big grin on his face, water bottle in hand. It's probably a Stanley at this point. It really is. I don't see any way that this man is bringing anything else into the picture unless it's one of those, more, I don't know. It's probably some sort of like genetic Marvel water bottle that has some sort of studies behind it that can make this man Superman. I take that back. Probably not a Stanley. This guy's wearing camouflage gear so no one can sense him coming in. He can slip in the door. Everyone's expecting, oh, this is Aaron Rodgers. Maybe he won't be there for voluntaries. This guy's a changed man. He's excited. He loves his team. He loves football again. This is a guy that every year we had to twist his arm to find out if he's coming back. And he's like, I'm coming back for 2 years now. He loves where he's at. He's so rejuvenated. The question is, does he still have the arm talent? Can he stay healthy? Will he tear the other Achilles? The other Achilles tear is a big concern for me. When you tear one Achilles, you're very susceptible to tearing the other Achilles because you've done damage to both of them throughout the course of your career with the way you operate. It's just the nature of it. When you have one torn patellar tendon, you're very susceptible to probably having another on the opposite side torn patellar tendon because clearly you land and leverage your knee support differently than you probably should. There's a lot of reasons to be concerned about it. That's why I believe that the Jets would be very smart to take Penix Jr. at 10 and just have a conversation with A-Rod, or take Bo Nix at 10. Both are older quarterbacks. It does suck to put them on the pine for a while, but it puts you in a position where you can dominate even if Aaron Rodgers goes down, and you don't want to have the situation that happened last year happen again. If at least anything else, Rattler or Joe Milton, my favorite quarterback to grab for anybody that doesn't want to grab an early quarterback because you already got a quarterback. You don't want to offend anybody like Aaron Rodgers, but you still want somebody. You want a guy. Joe Milton's attractive to bring into any quarterback room. He's a party trick, part potential project, part maybe there's something there. And maybe you win games. You do an AR5 type mentality, like you're gonna throw. Maybe he's got to work on a lot of his accuracy. I get all that, but he's got a cannon and he can run the damn ball. He's a big dude, and it's an attractive component to add to any arsenal and team strategy walking out of this NFL draft. Aaron Rodgers strutting his stuff, looking marvelous. And then, man, we're already through all the news. We had so much to get over, but your boy Smitty's ripping through it. 28 minutes and 53 seconds in. This is almost a record. Georgia tight end Brock Bowers, who is... Wait a minute. Who's Brock Bowers? He looks familiar. Is he on the Saturn Men list? Maybe.
The Saturn...
sorry, Mars Man?
Shuttle to Mars. Mars Man.
This guy's on the Mars Men list. Brock Bowers...
Dropping and spinning aimlessly in space.
Brock Bowers, say it with me. Double B, we call him. Double B, Brock Bowers, going to be dropping double Bs all over the field. This guy's an absolute monster. And within one calendar year, he might be the number one overall tight end in fantasy football. He's arguably the best tight end prospect to ever come out of college. and we've got him on the Mars Man list. He's a steal in redraft. He's still undervalued in Dynasty because he could be number 1, and people value him at 3, 4 sometimes. Georgia tight end Brock Bowers will be visiting the New York Jets, according to NFL Network and NFL on Fox and Good Morning Football. So the New York Jets are a team that we really want him to potentially go to, give Aaron Rodgers another potential. He's not like he's known for being the main blocking guy you'd draft as a tight end, but he could add that. You could train him to do whatever you wanted to do, and he adds a dynamic to the passing attack that not only gets Garrett Wilson open, because he's not going to, especially as a rookie, even though these tight ends can have great rookie tight end seasons, he's not going to hog enough from Garrett Wilson to affect him, but he's going to open up and free Garrett Wilson up. This is a fantastic move for the New York Jets if they pull this off. Brock Bowers is a freaking marvelous pick at that number 10 pick for the New York Jets. And it's looking more and more likely that he'll fall if he gets past the number 5 overall pick to the Chargers. It's looking more and more likely that he would free fall 210 to the New York Jets. And then if not, Denver, which I don't want him where he's not getting any kind of good quarterback in play. That's the news. We got it all on screen. And just, for good measure, to celebrate Devon Achane Day, which is on April 15 every single year going forward. Devon Achane Day, self-assessment, reflection in the mirror. Take a look at your life. What are you doing with your life? What are you doing with your life? Are you wasting it away, eating bags of potato chips and feeling your gut hang over your belt line right now? Or are you going to do something about it? Because Devon Achane in one offseason went from a scrawny kid that you'd say, you're lying, son, if he said I play professional football. If you saw him in the street corner, you'd say, you're lying to me. You're a twig. You're nothing. To holy crap, who is this man that looks like 6 years older, by the way, who's got a neck the size of a truck? He's got tree trunks on his arms now. This man looks like he probably gained 15 pounds at the very minimum. That means he weighs 205 instead of 190, 189. He weighs 200 to 205 bare minimum. You water him down, he weighs 207. 207, 205, 207, and he's arguably the fastest man in the NFL, and I guarantee you it didn't slow him down much at all. At all. Even if it did, he's still faster than everybody on the field. This maybe makes him, I'm going to go back to my rankings video. For those of you that didn't watch it, go watch it. Achane's going to 7. He's tied for 7. I'm putting him at 7. I cannot, in good conscience, have him anywhere outside of the tied for the top 7 now. Let's change this up. This is going to be 7 tied. I hate to do that to Jacobs. Jacobs is now, maybe Jacobs needs to be tied for 7 too. I want to put Jacobs at 8 by himself instead of being tied with Achane. Achane's now tied with JT at 7 for running back 7 going into 2024. If you missed this video, go watch it. The amendment is right here. You're hearing the amendment. The amendment is Achane 7 tied with JT. Arguably could be tied with Barkley at 6, to be frank with you. To be absolutely frank with you, I might think about that as the show rolls on. I might move him to tied at number 6 overall. Good God. Good God. Let's hit the button for good measure. Good Lord. Bring it in, boys. Bring it in, boys. Lower it down. There you go, right there, right there. Leave him right there. Good Lord. Guy weighs 205 pounds, I'd guess. Minimum. Like, does anybody think that's not 15 pounds? At least 10 to 12 pounds, minimum. Look at those cannons on his arm. He's crushing that poor phone. That poor phone, he's going to need a new phone by the end of the day. He doesn't even know he's smashing it to pieces. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sherlock says you don't run with your arms. How many leagues do you don't have Devon Achane in, Sherlock? Is it all of them? I'm just curious. I'm asking for a friend. I'm just curious how you'd see that and have a negative thing to say. That's all I'm asking. Like, how many leagues do you not have him in? How many leagues do you not have him in? Running does affect your arms. Yeah, don't tell Sirlax that. Sirlax, you pump with your arms. And the stronger the pump, the faster you get going, bro. It's kind of like one of those train things where you go like this, and the faster you move the lever down, you can move that train fast. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than it's science, bro. Let me show you on this. Let me show you right here. Set it down. Bring her in. Lower it. All right, slow. No, you don't have to be gentle anymore, boys. He weighs 205. No gentle. No. Smitty, he's so injury prone. He's going to get broken. Does this look like a man that's afraid to get hit? God, his neck is massive. This boy, congratulations. Anybody that's accepted the challenge. Devon Achane Day, April 15. Reality check. April 15 next year, you better be swole if that's your goal. April 15 next year, you better lose the 15 pounds if that's your goal. We're doing it live. Phone lines are open. Dial in to the Grindhouse phone lines. The phone lines are open, ladies and gentlemen. Your boy's here to answer the call. Dial in.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
I don't even know where I put him in my overall rankings. I'm moving him to running back 6, 7, 8. Like he might be tied for 6 now. Like looking at this again, I might put him with Barkley. I really might. He might be tied with Barkley, not tied with JT. Maybe JT. I don't know. JT's such a good. He's such a good prospect this year in fantasy. I might move Barkley and Achane tied for 6. JT and Jacobs tied for 7. And then you got the 8, 9 right here. Man, that's a tough one. You're live on the phone, Sebastian. What can I do for you?
Can you come to me next? I might have a lot of background noise right now.
What?
Can you come to me next?
Well, you're the first caller, so why don't you put yourself on mute and just yell at me when you're ready, okay? So just mute and we'll come back to you. That boy is eating so good, he's tired of steak. That guy's had so much of Ma's meatloaf over the course of the last couple weeks. I can't even tell you how much his mom's been in the kitchen baking for him. Like, how many times has she baked a whole rack of meatloaf and he's just scarfed it down and went to the gym immediately? The boy eats meatloaf while he's working out. Honestly, I don't know how else to say this, but I'm getting yoked on the channel again like I used to. I'm going to lift. Anytime there's a $20 hauler, your boy's going to, at least for now, going to rip off a set, and I'm going to be out of breath for a few minutes every time until I get in better shape. But your boy's going to get yoked right on the screen. There's none of this waiting around anymore. You know, sitting on my rear end, having a couple Mexican Cokes, eating a pretzel from QT with extra cheese on it, getting a side of cheese on it. I don't mind if I eat, like that, as long as I'm getting yoked, as long as I'm running like a monster, as long as I'm ripping off sets like crazy. Your boy is motivated. I want my neck to scream, get out of my way. I want my lats to be like, don't mess with this guy. Because no one's messing with the guy on the right, and the guy on the left you tell to get lost, Twig. Look at this man. It's crazy.
All right, Smitty, I'm back.
It's crazy. Hey, Smitty, 2 words, David Boston. Come on, bro. I saw somebody else say this. Mustard, how many leagues did you miss on Achane in? How many leagues do you not currently own him, and it frightens you? David Boston? Bro, David Boston was like 300 pounds of muscle. Devon Achane got physically ripped and yoked, and you think that bringing up David Boston, who couldn't wipe his own ass, his arms were so big, you're trying to compare one man working out to another man working out. And just because you don't own him, pure mustard, you're going to say that this man is going to get hurt because he got bigger? Get out of here, bro. Like, that is insane. What's up, Sebastian? Unbelievable.
Yeah, I wanted your thoughts. It was more of a best ball question. Do you notice how high a lot of those round 2 wide receivers are going? Like, I feel like a lot of them are going way too high. It's like the Devontae Adams to like Deebo Samuel and even Chris Olave territory.
Yeah,
it's really
I have videos on this, and I talk about it almost every night whenever best ball comes up. These going 4 wide receivers in rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 wide receivers. Some people go 6 straight wide receivers, is getting out of hand. And anybody that says, "Oh, but the data," I've got an Excel sheet, Eric over here, that tells me in order to win best ball, the guy that won last year had 8 wide receivers in the first 7 rounds, and you really just should not have fun and just autopilot, sift down to wide receiver, and just autopilot wide receivers and just stock up on wide receivers. That's the dumbest way to play fantasy football. I'd rather lose than autopilot or run like a robot through wide receivers and just ignore the fun part of it of trying to find wide receivers that are going to overperform. Like Steve over here that goes wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Okay? Yeah, he's probably on paper coming out of the draft, according to the average person looking at the rosters, probably has a better wide receiver room than me. Even if I went Kyren and Gibbs back to back at 12 and 13 in a best ball draft, I'm probably going to get somebody that comes in and says, well, his wide receivers are good. Wide receivers win best ball because Excel sheet Eric said so. The other problem you have is the moment I land my 2 later wide receivers, I get a Cooper Kupp. Not saying Cooper Kupp is for sure going to bounce back, but the moment I land Cooper Kupp to become the bounce back kind of undervalued guy, the moment I get DeVonta Smith to play like a top 5, 6, 7 wide receiver, and the moment I get 2 of those things to happen from my vantage point of Gibbs and drafting Achane or Gibbs and Kyren, he's done. Now, if I don't land that, there might be an advantage still, but I don't care what happened last year. Nothing matters. Not to mention, you start having everybody follow suit, right? 8 out of 12 people are going to say you got to stack. And I'm not saying stack isn't advantageous in the right context. It is. But if 8 out of 12 people are stacking, what are the odds that one of those 8 people are going to win? Pretty high out of the 12, right? And so whoever wins is going to naturally have a stacked team on average, and you're going to attribute the success to stacking again. It's a compounding hidden problem, I think, in the analysis of best ball data. Not to mention, if everybody is trending towards 7 or 8 out of 12 owners to go heavy wide receiver, the winner, if that person that did it the other way but then had injuries and you can't account or look at that, doesn't win, and somebody out of the other group wins, now all of a sudden you have data that says, well, the guy that won had heavy wide receiver. And it's a compounding problem that I think, I don't care what that data says. My job in every single draft is to outdraft that guy that's next to me, outdraft that guy that's next to me, outdraft everybody that's next to me. And if I land my picks, I will win. If I don't land my picks, I will not win. And it is as simple as that in some level, and I think people are making it overly complicated, trying to find correlations in data that make someone seem smart and make their content look so, unique and dialed down to the math and everything. This is a game of football. This is not baseball where you have so many games, you're an average. It's a statistical game. You don't have to watch a single game of baseball and you can dominate fantasy baseball. Football is different. A guy can enter week 10 and be an absolute monster. And a guy could rise up like a rookie, like Frank Gore Jr. You could ignore the running back room by design and have Frank Gore Jr., Blake Corum, Braylon Allen, Jalen Wright, Trey Benson, Bucky Irving, and then have one guy like Zamir White and go 0 running back and dominate if you land that running back. But that doesn't mean you have to take 8 wide receivers. Maybe you go early Laporta. Maybe you go early Jalen Hurts. on top of that, there's so many ways to win. I can't stand the best ball like tendencies people have, and I will be creating content on this more often this year that will be best ball driven, that will tell you it's okay not to go wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver, wide receiver. Okay?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's stupid. Like, I just went best player available. I think I had like 3450 projected points, and all. I had like Mahomes round 5, Joe Burrow round 7, Kyron.
I love the bully quarterback
Gibbs
approach.
at the top.
Going QB,
it doesn't make sense.
Going to, it doesn't make sense because people don't make sense. Don't worry about other people. Draft the best team you can. Who cares about what? That's why I always say there's one strategy that will never fail you. Injury can fail you. Unfortunate circumstance can fail you, but best player available. If you draft the best player available at every pick, assuming you're not taking, in regular redraft and regular dynasty, not best ball, assuming you're not taking a backup position like a quarterback when it's a 1 QB and you're taking Mahomes and you take Hurts back-to-back in rounds 2 and 3 in a 1 QB redraft or 1 QB dynasty where you can't have best ball save the day and start the highest scoring one for you automatically. That's called bully quarterback drafting. Bully quarterback is great in best ball. You draft Mahomes and you draft Burrow and you have these two quarterbacks and you wasted a draft slot in round 7 on Burrow because you already had Mahomes and it's 1 QB. But the bully approach will have you dominating the quarterback position because you don't decide the highest scoring player gets started for you. And you're also taking one of the higher scorers, if you believe Burrow to be one, off the board. It's a defensive measure in best ball as well because you're fighting against the 11 other people to get to the next round in best ball. So you're trying to annihilate everybody. Like somebody could take all the quarterbacks, or 4 or 5 of them, and if they landed their other sleeper picks, they could literally dominate or lose the field if they don't do well. Hold on real quick, Sebastian. John dropped a super chat. John, you still here? I'm sorry for the wait. What are your projections, thoughts, and landing spots for Ladd, McConkey, and McMillan? Ladd looks like Cooper Kupp, and Jalen was the number 1 in 2022. I like these landing spots, everything. I think that McConkey has a better shot of finding a better landing spot, but I certainly think McConkey is widely accepted as a guy that could come in and be almost a wide receiver 1 for half of the NFL teams. I don't think anybody looks at him really a very good scout or team or organization or drafting decision-making room. I don't think they look at him and say, he'd be a good serviceable guy. A lot of people will want him as their wide receiver too, and he will probably be better fit for that. I don't know that you want to shove him into let's call it like Buffalo would be the perfect place for him to be a wide receiver 1 because of the way Buffalo operates and that Kincaid's there. So I'd be fine with that. But you don't want to put him like in New England as the wide receiver 1 with no quarterback. If there's no quarterback, or even New England as the wide receiver 1 with the rookie quarterback like May, because how is he going to develop? He needs to go somewhere where he can be either the wide receiver 1 in a great offense or the number 2 wide receiver in a great offense. So if he goes to Buffalo, he goes to KC, he goes to a landing spot like even Baltimore, that's fantastic for Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey projects to be probably in the 25 plus range. Like Dallas could look at him early. We don't know what these draft values could climb. I think Buffalo is going to look at him. I think Baltimore will look at him. San Francisco would be smart to look at him if they obviously let Aiyuk go, which right now it's 50-50 or probably even still 60-70% chance Aiyuk is going to sign a deal. Like that's not changed. That it's more about him requesting a trade. Is that ever going to be officially floated, or did this maybe a fake news report, or maybe it was definitely wrong because it said officially requested. He didn't officially request, so the news reports were absolutely wrong. But did it get floated in a way that now they no longer need to do that? They're going to get incoming phone calls and probing on Aiyuk that will get the job done. Who the hell knows? But McConkey, I mean, he could go at the top of round 2, or he could go as early as 24 to the Dallas Cowboys. Projections for him, 900 yards and 8 touchdowns, 7 touchdowns. Maybe 1,000 yards even and 7 or 8 touchdowns. He's a very good wide receiver. His landing spot will determine everything, my bro. And then real quickly, this is a question from Seven. Seven, appreciate you, my guy. Seven says $200 auction, 2 guys, Brees 47, Achane 14, Jamar Chase 47. So you keep 2 guys, $200 auction. Jeez. I mean, I love all of them. I don't think you're overpaying for Brees. You're not overpaying for Jamar Chase. Those are fantastic values. And you're certainly not overpaying for Achane. My only lean here is to keep the 2 bigger names, because I wonder if you could get Achane for 20 something, whereas you throw Brees or Chase back. In my estimation, in a $200 auction, Jamar Chase is going for 65 plus. Brees Hall is going for 60, 65 plus. So you throw those guys back in, they're going up a significant amount. Not that Achane's not going up maybe $10, $15, $20 also, but you have a better chance of getting him back and a better chance of affording it. So as much as I hate to say this, those are Brees Hall and Chase in a $200 auction at 47 is a fantastic price, bro. So I'd take the 2 bigger names and go get Achane as well. So great question and a complicated question, and probably surprised at my reaction, but that's just being smart. Sebastian, what else you got?
What do you think of the value at Chris Godwin at wide receiver 41 right now?
I mean, what did he finish with last year?
It's I just looked it up. It was 36 and 37, I think.
No, his numbers. What were his numbers? He had 2 touchdowns and 1,000 yards, 83 receptions. I mean, his situation didn't change, man. It's not like he's going into a better environment. I don't know. I would say it's pretty. What did you say it was? 80 what?
His ADP was it was around 74.5, and that's wide receiver 41. Because I know Evans is going round 3.
Name 3 wide receivers. Here, I'll look it up. I'm going to look at the players above him and the players below him, because that's really going to tell where I value him, not so much the number. Because off the top of my head, it doesn't sound crazy, but, this isn't a great stat line. The 2 touchdowns is very alarming because things aren't changing necessarily. The 83 for 1024 isn't awful. But yeah, Godwin on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty, by the way, everybody. Godwin's ADP is 74.5. He is wide receiver 41. Above him, Deontay Johnson. Above him, Jordan Addison. Above him, Brian Thomas Jr. Above him, Calvin Ridley, McLaurin, Hollywood Brown. Okay, below Godwin, Hopkins, JSN, Watson, A.D. Mitchell, Mike Williams, Xavier Worthy, Jamison Williams. I'd rather bank on Jamison Williams having a breakout and being way better than these numbers than banking on Godwin changing these numbers and staying healthy, and Baker staying healthy, and the Tampa Bay Bucks not having one of those Cinderella years and kind of vanishing this year. I'd rather bank on Hopkins having 1 year left. I'd rather bank on JSN breaking out. So Jamison Williams, JSN, Hopkins, and obviously McLaurin and Hollywood, but they're well above there. I'd take all those guys above Godwin, so I believe I will never own Godwin in 2024. Doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean anybody that thinks I'm a little off on that, has it ranked differently, is wrong. But I'm never going to draft Godwin over the upside of Jamison Williams this year, who would get this in a disappointing year, I think, this year. JSM would get this in a disappointing year. Hopkins would get this in a disappointing year. Godwin had this with a year where the Bucks were doing amazing. So give me no Godwin at 70 overall, bro. Let me go over to Ron Navy.
All right.
Hold tight there, Sebastian. Mute yourself if you could. Ron Navy, you're live. What a bunch of news. I was trying to go live earlier. I had the little one with me, and I thought I could do a live stream to break the DeVonta Smith signing and everything, but I thought, you know what? It's not going to hurt anything to wait until the 8 p.m. show, and we had so much news to go over. The one that excites me the most is the pure size of this man, Devon Achane, and what kind of weight he's gained, and the ridiculous, no offense, Mustard, but the ridiculous comments of what about David Boston? That's like trying to give an example of But Colonel Sanders gained a lot of weight at the end of his life. Like, that didn't work out. Like, what are we talking about? How are you going to bring up David Boston? That guy was like a 280-pound, like, tight end wide receiver that couldn't wipe his own ass because his arm was too big. And you're going to say because he gained some weight and looks fantastic that David Boston now becomes a conversation. Like, tell me you don't own any shares of Achane without telling me you don't own them. But Ron, you're live. Any thoughts on any of these pieces of news, like how DeVonta Smith, his contract extension is going to affect JJ and Lamb's up above, or Aiyuk's right alongside or below or higher? What's going on?
Well, I now know why the beef prices have spiked in Florida.
The beef?
Achane's been
Yeah.
down in those damn pedals.
Yeah, his mom's been cooking some meatloaf like no other. Beef is definitely up. Beef is up. Like I said.
I also,
go ahead.
and I might have missed it, but I also heard Andrew Reid said he expects to have Rice at OTAs.
Yeah, so we covered a little bit of that Reid says until he hears otherwise, all he's going to say is he's talked to Rice and that, they're going to wait. So meaning everything is going to go per usual. Will the NFL step in? Maybe. If Rice shows up, that's a bad optics type of scenario. And while we know the NFL doesn't care sometimes about optics, we do know that they do on some level. And it's just a matter of, is this something that's going to make them feel like they need to handle it from a PR perspective, an HR perspective? Nobody should kid themselves. The NFL doesn't care. They care about money. But they do care about things that affect money. And obviously, Alvin Kamara getting in a fight in Vegas didn't affect anything. They just kept moving on. Didn't matter. But will this affect anything? This is the golden team, the Kansas City Chiefs, the first, this is the NFL's first team. It's America's team according to the NFL, and they're in the spotlight differently. And the fact that he's being sued for $1 million now by the two of the victims, the fact that his 8 counts could climb to 14, maybe even higher, I'm hearing. The fact that they haven't even attached any of the hit and run leaving the scene, which is one of the biggest parts of this. It's odd that it's off the table right now. But as Mike Florio, who's an attorney, everybody can clown on Mike Florio all they want. I clown on him all the time. But he is a knowledgeable attorney, and he makes some bad calls and guesstimations. But, he does a lot of what I do. You try and make some guesses. You're going to land and miss. And some haters are going to get upset at you when you miss. Some people are going to love that you're just out here attempting to digest stuff. But what he said makes a lot of sense is that Texas is going to throw the book at this guy. Texas is making an example of this guy. Texas is probably the worst state. 119 miles an hour. Probably the worst state to do this in. Texas is old. This is an old. They're trying to throw the hammer down on this to make an example of him, to deter anyone. This is the best spotlight Texas could have. Of course it's unfortunate, but could have asked for, to now apply pressure to anybody else that's thinking of racing in Texas again, because they're creating laws around it. Such a problem. They want to make an example of him because they'll never have this big of a microphone before. It's literally like saying, hey, Texas, you've had a problem for a while now. You've now been given this megaphone. Are you going to use it, or are you going to let this one slide? And they're going to say, attention, everybody. You are going to witness what happens when you drag race, not just drag race and don't hurt anybody, but drag race and injure individuals. And 2 children, I guess, is being reported now, not 1, I think. That's hearsay. There's a lot of different news on it. But this guy walked away from the scene, and not only did he walk away, everybody that was piled into these 2 vehicles that were leased or owned by Rashee Rice, the Corvette, driven by the SMU cornerback, who was suspended immediately by SMU, which applies pressure to the Chiefs to do the same thing, right? Andy Reid said he's not doing anything. Doesn't mean that the team won't. Doesn't mean that the NFL won't. They can put him on paid leave at any moment. They don't have to wait for the legal process to play out. People that say that don't know what is going on. The NFL could absolutely just put him on paid leave. The exempt list paid is different than the exempt list. The commissioner exempt list, based on the NFLPA negotiations and everything, the NFL does not use the exempt list unpaid anymore unless the legal process is played out. But they, at any moment in time, can step in and say, paid leave, exempt list, go. Not to mention, what's in place is in place as like general policy. The NFL can still ultimately do whatever they want. People act like they have to follow this certain guideline. They really don't. They just follow it because they want to have good relationship between NFLPA, the players, and all that. They can do whatever they want. But Texas is, from what I hear, and especially through some of the Florio stuff, they're going to throw the book at him. And the reason they're doing this slow unraveling of counts, so 8 counts, right? Okay, they start preparing. When they get to a certain stage in this, they throw 2 more counts on, 4 more counts on. They're not preparing for those counts. It's all going to be piling on top of him, and they're going to get him to plead guilty. Because he's not going to be able to attack this storm of counts that are coming at him, because there's no way he's gonna get off. There's too much mounting evidence, and this is not a case where, oh, he'll settle. People say things like he'll settle. There's no settlement in criminal. It's called pleading out, and the only time you plea out is when the DA believes, kind of like, this is kind of iffy that we're going to win this. We'll accept your plea so that we can get a win. But they don't need to do that. Texas isn't worried about getting the win. They know they've got it in the bag. He's admitted all of it on camera, or his attorney did, and he's admitted it through an Instagram statement. And he admitted that he texted the Lambo company, but there's no sign of him anywhere sending message for help, calling somebody to text somebody to say, hey, call 911. No help at all. Didn't assist aid at all. Just walked off the freeway with his individuals in his car. All these guys have questionable characters in my book for walking away after creating a 6-car pileup. Cowardly act by everyone involved walking off the freeway. I think the NFL could potentially act, and I think there's if he does play as this thing plays out, at some point he's missing an entire season. Even if it's 2025, because he's going to plead guilty on some level, and that will be an automatic year suspension in my book.
Yeah, what's really crazy about it, and you know, my sister lives in North Dallas, up in Prosper, but the whole freeway, they're always congested, and they're traffic on. There are places in Texas that you could actually get away with it. The highway that goes from Houston all the way to San Antonio, that's wide open. Not a lot of traffic. There's places in Texas, and there's places like where you live where there's no traffic or whatever. I mean, if you're going to do something like that, you don't pick a highly populated area to
have any of us, I'm not saying anybody has to admit it. I'm not saying anybody needs to even verbalize it out loud. Has anybody done something in a vehicle they shouldn't have? You know, had a couple drinks, driven home, got lucky, thank your lucky stars, whatever. I don't drink, but I like, when I was 19 years old, did I do something stupid here or there? Absolutely. So I don't pretend to be innocent in everything in life. Like, I didn't make a stupid choice. I didn't drive super tired, fall asleep at the wheel at a light. We've all made dumb decisions. Just thank God we didn't cause any injury doing it, right? I'm not saying that if he had raced 119 miles an hour down the freeway, didn't hurt anybody, that the book should be thrown at him. But when he raced 119 miles an hour down the freeway, caused a 6-car pileup, and didn't take responsibility, and don't tell me he did. Don't tell me, oh, he did eventually. Don't tell me that, because he didn't. He was forced to, because there was camera footage of him everywhere, and he was required to turn himself in. Okay, this guy didn't take accountability or even help anybody. If you're going to make that kind of mistake and you run away, you're either running away because there's substance in your body that you got to get out. This is total speculation and opinion on my part, by the way. I have no facts on this. This is my opinion. You either trying to get away to let the substance get out of your body. You're more concerned about that than the people in the cars. Or you're just a coward and you're a bad person. So you tell me, this is not just racing. This is racing, crashing, maybe having some substance in you because you did confirmed come back from partying at a restaurant and immediately left and crashed immediately. So what were you doing at the restaurant? And there's no way to tie a DUI or anything. I've had a couple of people arguing with me in the comments like, Smitty, what if there's camera footage of him drinking a lot? Doesn't matter. You can't use it. It's not something you can bring to the table. You cannot charge him with a DUI or any sort of substance after the fact. If it's out of his body, it's done. There's no DUI. He got out of the DUI, and it sets a very bad example that you could get in a crash and you have substance in your body and you could just run away. Even if that's not what actually happened, this is setting a bad precedent that if he gets off on this entire thing, then it's going to be a big problem because people are going to be like, well, damn, I can just run out away. Like I crashed my car and I just like Forrest run down the street and get as far away as I can, stay away for 24 hours, let everything out of my system and go, yeah, that was me. I was good. I just ran. Like, so that's another reason that if this comes down hard on Rashee Rice, people won't be as apt to say, hey, remember when that? They'll be like, no, it didn't work out for him, so I'm not going to try that. Like, this is important. This is important for precedent, in my opinion.
But think about it. Think about it, though. I mean, isn't that the culture, today's culture, though? These people that have a lot of money, not just athletes, but just people in general that are rich and have a lot of money. We see them every day getting away with this, getting away with that, getting away. Justice system is just letting them fly.
And these TikTokers too. You know, where they audit the police and they like literally push the police's buttons. I hate that. Everybody's getting away with everything.
Yeah. So in their heads, they think, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm sure when he walked out of that car, he's like, I got money. It'll all go away because everything he's seen up to that point. You know, with the NFL and with even celebrities and stuff, they get away with it. They most of the time they get away with it. You don't hear it, and that's the culture that we've bred that's in this country right now. Is that people get away with doing really bad things? They're not held accountable.
Yeah, they get away with everything. This is a crazy world we live in. Dial into the phone line if anybody would like to discuss any of this conversation that we've got. We've got so much news on screen. Phone number is in the top right corner of the screen. Dial into the Grindhouse phone lines.
Call into the show. Call into the show.
You're attacking my stacking. Talk about that a little bit.
I'm not attacking your stacking. I'm attacking that people say you have to stack to win. There's nothing wrong with stacking, and I like stacking if it makes sense. So I've made that abundantly clear over the course of the last couple of years. Stacking can be beautiful, but to force it when it's not the best player available, I 1,000% disagree with. Like, yeah. So you and I are not on the wrong page. I think you may have taken it wrong. I'm just saying when someone says, like when someone comes into my chat, Ron, and I'll let you rebuttal after this. When somebody comes into my chat and says, and we've had these people before. You know, and they got so annoying. I think one of them's gone because they kept talking about it. I kept getting so tired of seeing their comments over and over that, Smitty, you're telling your followers a really bad message that you draft a naked Joe Burrow. You drafted Joe Burrow and didn't draft Jamar Chase. You can't win with that. And that's such a stupid statement. It's such a dumb or you draft Jamar Chase without Joe Burrow, even worse. That is such a dumb statement. That you can't win best ball if you draft Jamar Chase without Joe Burrow. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And the fact that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, in your example, Ron, if you had just Jalen Hurts and Jamar Chase during the Hamlin game, you might have won a big fat stack of cash. But instead, having the stack crushed you. So people need to relax on the stack.
4 players. I had 2 players from each team.
I know.
That's what hurt.
I know.
I had 2 players from each team, and that's what killed me is because they canceled the game. And the thing is just like you got to take chances. I mean, anything could happen. We know that. So could you win with a naked? Of course you could win with a naked Joe Burrow or whatever. But you could also lose if you have him and he goes down to injury and you don't have a proper backup to fill his shoes. that could be detrimental. So injuries. I mean, it's a lot of luck too. You draft, but that's why, if you're gonna best player available, yeah. But if you're gonna, you need some, especially if you're gonna do a lot of these best ball drafts, you need some what do you call it? Some differential, because it's so easy to draft the same players over and over, again when you're doing a lot.
You
need to like, if you're in a good situation where zero running back makes sense, then do some zero running back teams. If you're in a situation where you overload with running backs, do some top end running backs.
You know what's more important than stacking though? That actually a lot of times is stacking. It's not what people think. It's the week 17 matchup. So if you've got Joe Burrow and you made a good decision, even though the Hamlin game got turned upside down on you, having Buffalo versus the Bengals and that high scoring week 17 game, that's more about why you want to have the players on those teams about week 17. Drafting for week 17 as it fits. Like, you're not drafting for week 17. You got to make it to the finals to even be able to utilize the week 17 players, right? But if you can, in unison, draft an amazing team, and it's a complex Rubik's Cube. It's not like you just draft for week 17. You got to say best player available also fits with week 17 strategy to the freaking moon. Like, that's what makes best ball. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Guys, if you aren't doing it, I'm going to drop the link in the live chat right now. Hold on one second, Ron. Hold on one second. Let me just finish this point. Let me just finish this point real quick. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. You're going to miss out on all of this amazing strategy. Best ball, it's so amazing. I think when I first heard about best ball, and it was a while ago. We're talking about when it was called something different. It was called when I'm talking like 2007. It was called something else back then. But when I first heard about it, my first thought was, this is stupid. It takes away all the strategy. You don't set a lineup. Who wants to do that? I remember when I first heard about it. And then you start to realize that it's just a different form of strategy that is all up front in one sitting. And I like that, because then I don't have to worry about it again. And all the work I put in the draft, mind game strategy, it all comes to fruition later. But the whole thing of stacking, it's not as important to stack it as it is to have guys in high scoring games in week 17 while moving the Rubik's Cube and still drafting the best player available. And so if you draft Burrow and Chase and they're going to go out in a high shootout game in week 17 against the Buffalo Bills, and then you draft also Buffalo Bill players, and you do it in a way that's best player available, that is what's actually more important. And then people will look at the data and go, oh, he stacked, that's why he won. It wasn't because he stacked, it's because he stacked in week 17 and built the best team available. All sum total is the best thing in fantasy. They're stacking throughout the year is not as important as having that stack in week 17. That's the more greater point here that I want to emphasize.
That is true. It's harder to get the teams that you could have a greatly stacked team. You could have a Philadelphia, you could have Cincinnati, or you could have a Kansas City or whatever, and they can be stacked. But come time for the playoff weeks, it's hard to get those teams through with those players. And so if you can get them through to week 17, you got a great chance. But if you can't, the odds are lower. So you never seen, especially on the best ball, is the person that wins the year-end total amount, the regular season total amount, that person not usually you don't see them winning the week 17 playoffs. They win the one, but they don't win the other. The teams don't fare as good in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a Rubik's Cube. It's a complex Rubik's Cube that has 5 sides. Not it's 8 sides. It's an 8-side Rubik's Cube. It's like so complicated. And that's why I hate when people say draft to stack or something so one-dimensionally stupid. Like, hey, you draft Jamar Chase without Joe Burrow, you can't win. That is, again, let me emphasize, the dumbest statement I've ever heard. It's more about what does the week 17 look like to make Joe Burrow an attractive thing. And also, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and Jalen Hurts, I love that because I love the bully quarterback approach, because you dominate the quarterback scoring in your field of 12. You take away the ammunition of having one of those quarterbacks on one of the other teams. You're playing defense. And if you are good at drafting sleepers, you can replace the player that Joe Burrow would have given you, or in the case of Hurts, would have given you. And let's say somebody's drafting Keenan Allen, and you're like, I'd rather just take Jalen Hurts right here. Like, what in the hell are we doing here? Take Jalen Hurts. Boom. I'm still going to take Joe Burrow later. And now I draft a guy like Hopkins later, who's going so late. Or a guy like Ridley or McLaurin or JSN breaks out or whatever. And the difference between JSN and Keenan Allen, or JSN and Waddle, is where you smash everyone to pieces, because you also have bully QB going on. Best Ball, Underdog Fantasy, link I'm going to drop again. Please hit this link. We'll be doing so much Best Ball content, I promise you, this year. We didn't do a lot of Best Ball content last year. I'm going to have on my YouTube homepage a Best Ball row. So anything I do Best Ball, I'll make sure it's in that row. And I'm going to start using my playlists a little more strategically, so that you guys can sort on my YouTube homepage by content, like breakout sleepers, busts, and then and Best Ball, and so forth, so that it's very easy to find what you need, and you don't just see every video in every playlist. I'm going to get really strategic with it.
Also, to your point, Smitty, it's like last year I made a huge bet, week 17, right? I made a big bet on Minnesota Green Bay game. I mean, I had, me and Kirk Cousins, right? As soon as he started out great, as soon as he went to, that took a big chunk out of my,
diversify. Diversify
stuff, because after Cousins, that was it.
Sirlax says Best Ball is lazy football. I'm starting to think you got some lazy comments, Sirlax. You said that what did he say? What was the other one he said? Was it about Achane? Sirlax. What was his other comment? He said Achane was reported dining with Leonard Fournette. Like these are all like, you, man.
That is funny.
But he clearly doesn't like. You don't run with your arms. That was the comment he said. I'm sure he said a couple other things. You don't run with your arms. You do. You actually do. Sirlax, you learn a little bit about running. And Best Ball is lazy. Get the cigarette out of your mouth and do something, bro. We're out here ready to pump some iron. This is Devon Achane day. If anybody is needing to just lose LBs, or wanting to gain some mass, or just get in better shape, get your cholesterol under control, today is Devon Achane day. 415 is the day I changed my life. And it's Devon Achane day. We'll always reference it. Jump on board. Michael K, CPA, in the building. Appreciate Michael K. We haven't seen you in a little bit, Michael K. I know you probably watched, but you haven't commented too much. I'm trying to look for your song.
He's Michael K, CPA. When you've got bills to pay, Michael K, CPA. He is his day.
Let's go over to Theo real quick, and then we'll go to Dawson, and then we'll go back to Ron Navy, then back to Sebastian. So, Theo, you're live.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where you would take a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. if you were in a Dynasty startup. Around which wide receivers?
Tough to say, because that's a loaded question, and we don't really know where his landing spot is, and et cetera, et cetera. The Dynasty startup versus rookie ranking. I'd probably say, so Marvin Harrison Jr. is going in the top 10. Neighbors is going in the top 10 to 12. Doomsday is going in the top 12 to 13, 14. And then if you talk about where Brian Thomas Jr. is going to play, we assume he goes somewhere pretty good. I think he's probably right around where, he's above Evans in Dynasty. He's maybe around where Waddle is, maybe below Waddle, probably around where Michael Pittman Jr. is. People would debate, Michael Pittman Jr. is way better than a prospect like that, but I'll put DeVonta Smith and DK slightly above him, or maybe more than slightly above him. Tank Dell still above him. It's weird. Dynasty's tough. Dynasty startup is tough to throw a rookie in, where he's actually one of the more volatile rookies based on landing spot. So I would say below DK, below Devontae, obviously below London, maybe where JSN is, because JSN is not yet proven, but he's got lots of upside. Maybe where, I don't know, Pittman Jr., JSN, above Keenan Allen, above Rashee Rice.
That's what I'm thinking.
Near T. Higgins, above T. Higgins, but near T. Higgins, right around there. For right now.
So you'd take him over Jaden Reed, right?
Not necessarily, but it depends on the landing spot. If he goes to Buffalo as the number 1, absolutely. If he goes to freaking...
He's not going to fall to 28, though.
I'm not saying he falls at 28, but Buffalo wants him. Buffalo's made it really clear this is a guy on the radar, so Buffalo might trade up for him. But if he goes to a crowded landing spot, like, let's say New Orleans, let's just say we're shocked. We're like, why they took a receiver for Derek Carr? Olave, that's crowded. Seattle, he's not going to Seattle, but let's say they're trying to prepare for having another replacement. I don't know. Somewhere where it's crowded, I don't like it. Jacksonville, I don't really love it. Cincinnati, I love it. That means T. Higgins is gone though the next year, or they even trade him, on draft day or slightly after. It sounds like Cincinnati doesn't want to trade him, but don't believe everything you hear right now because Diggs was staying. The Bills told you Diggs isn't going anywhere, and they traded him within 24 hours of a tweet. So Higgins is they have no plans of trading him, but he still potentially could get traded. The right offer comes along, someone that is not locked down long term is gone. If Aiyuk is got an expectation of $28 million a year, and the Niners say we're not even close to that, and the right offer comes along, he's gone. If the right offer doesn't come along, they're not moving him they're not forcing it. They're just going to call his bluff and be like, he'll sign. If he doesn't, he plays on the 5th-year option. And then we franchise tag him the next year. The Niners have nothing to lose. The only thing they have to lose is value if an offer comes as too good to be true. Anybody that acts like Aiyuk is not going anywhere no matter what is crazy. They're wearing goggles as thick. Anybody that says Aiyuk is for sure getting traded is crazy. They're also wearing reverse goggles. They need glasses to some degree because the Niners clearly want to retain him. That's why I keep saying there's a 65-75% chance that Aiyuk stays in San Francisco. For some reason, people think what they want about me outside of this, show. And a lot of Niner fans, they think I predicted he's going for sure to be traded. I predicted a trade request. There's a big difference. I have never once said there's a higher likelihood of him to get traded than not get traded. I've actually said over and over the opposite, but people like to say what they want about me. I really don't care. My real people know what I say. My percentages really have not changed. 65 to 75% chance he signs an extension with the Niners. A high likelihood he requests a trade before NFL draft day. That already kind of got maybe stepped on with this fake trade news that could have got planted that accomplishes the same thing. I ultimately feel like what happened is exactly what we're talking about. Trade request is coming out. It did essentially even if it's fabricated, now it's out there. Now there's pressure. Now teams are wondering. I still think he could request a trade right before the NFL draft. This would be the week that it happens more likely than not because this is in line with the Deebo Samuel blueprint. I've said every step of the way he's following the Deebo Samuel blueprint, and people come in and say, Deebo did it. Deebo did it. We know. We obviously know Deebo did it. This is what the problem is. All right, hang tight.
Yeah.
Hang tight, Theo. Let me go. I'll come back to you. Dawson, you're live.
What do you think of Quentin Johnston? Think any chance of a bounce back? I know.
Do you get extra points for body catches?
No.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this guy is going to be passed over as the number 1 wide receiver option on the team. He was taken so high last year, bro. The expectation was so high based on you drafting him high that you're not even considering him as a Charger organization or a fan as the replacement for Keenan Allen. Everybody's saying they need to draft a wide receiver. The Chargers need to draft Neighbors at 5. Why? You just drafted a guy named Quentin Johnston super high. That was one of the best prospects. A lot of people said, I didn't, in this last year's draft class. You're not even considering him the wide receiver 1 replacement. He's just there. So I guess the lack of confidence, I think, overall from everyone and the organization probably Unless they come out and say, look, we traded Keenan Allen and we're not going to draft a wide receiver because we love Quentin Johnston. I don't think they're going to do that. Nor do I think they'll be right if they have that angle. But, like, this guy's not even being considered as the number one. And you drafted him super high. So you tell me, is it likely that he's coming along strongly? I don't know. What have I drafted him in best ball? Yeah. Like, late in the draft, just hoping that somehow he puts it together. But this is a notorious body catcher. Not real good hands, not real good at going and getting the football. He just waits for the ball to hit his body. That's what body catcher means. He's just waiting. And people that wait for the ball to hit their body and they don't go get the ball, they're more likely to not see the football. A defender's going to bat it around. You want somebody that goes and gets the football, comes back to the football. You know who comes back to the football almost better than anybody in the entire draft class? Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey goes toward the ball. Ladd McConkey races everybody to the football, plucks it out, and then goes on with his merry way. Ricky Parasol, Slick Rick is his nickname. Slick Rick is the same way. Ricky Parasol, Ladd McConkey, the two most likely Puka Nacua prospects at least, are marvels at that. Quentin Johnston just waits for the ball. But his body catches like he's receiving a punt. Like they throw the ball up to him. Come to my body. He's one of the biggest wide receivers in his draft class. He doesn't act like it. He certainly doesn't know it. You know who's bigger than Quentin Johnston, in my opinion? Devon Achane. Anything else for now, Dawson? And then I'm going to put you, or you can put yourself on mute and I'll come back to you. I'm going to go over to Jack of all trades as soon as you're done.
So, I know with Quentin Johnston, he said, like, with the new coaching change, he was hoping to break out, and it seems like Harbaugh kind of likes him if he got rid of both Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And he was, like, a good prospect.
He wasn't a good prospect. He was a good prospect to other people. He was not to me. He was a bust.
Did you predict that?
Well, like I said, the team's looking to acquire another receiver when they just drafted this guy to be the guy. So that tells you they don't believe in him. Now, like I said, have I drafted him on spec that maybe, if I grab Palmer and Quentin Johnston, and let's say Harbaugh doesn't draft Neighbors and he goes after like a Roman Wilson and he doesn't quite develop what could Quentin and Palmer, could this combo be okay in best ball? Sure. But would I take Quentin Johnston as my last receiver or second to last receiver? Sure. But like that's it, bro. I'm not expecting anything. He's not going to be a wide receiver one in fantasy. He'd be hard pressed to ever become a fantasy football wide receiver two. And the best case scenario is he learns how to catch better and understands he's a big guy and knows how to use his body, which is a little late to learn a lot of that. He's an NFL receiver. He's talented enough, right? I'm not trying to crap on him and say he's not a gifted player in that perspective, but he's not an elite player, bro. I don't know if you own him in a couple Dynasty leagues and you want me to say something positive. I can't really muster up too much, but there's a shot. Would I pick him up if he was a free agent? Sure. Hold on one second. Put yourself on mute, pal. Jack of all trades, you are live, young man.
Greetings from the North Coast.
What's
Cleveland,
up?
Ohio.
What's up?
Well, I just want to thank Devon Achane because I just took the clothes off the Bowflex.
You just took the clothes off what? The Bowflex? Oh yeah,
off
yeah.
the Bowflex.
Yeah. Time to lift. Time to lift. Let's go.
Yeah, I got the clothes taken off, but that's as far as I got.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna lift while you speak. Go ahead. Devon Achane.
Quentin Johnston is nothing but like a body catcher.
Body catcher.
That works in college, but it doesn't work in the pros.
Body catcher.
And that's all he does. He body catches.
Yeah, it does. I could catch a football better than Quentin Johnston. I'm sorry. I got great hands.
Oh, I'm sure you can. I know you can kick a football better.
I can kick the football better. I can catch the football better. I'm going to get bigger than Quentin Johnston. I'm getting Devon Achane big right here on this channel, getting ripped.
What was that field goal that you kicked that one day at the Super Bowl?
I measured it out. Even though they put it at 40, it was like 32. But I like their 10-yard markers were like 8. One of them was like 7.5. They just wanted you to feel good about it. But I counted it off, and it was a 32-yard field goal. But I mean, I hit the back wall. Like, it wasn't even going down. I know I could hit a 50. I could hit a 50. I'll go out to a field and
you never know.
45.
You never know who's going to pick up the phone and give you a call.
You never know. I mean, look, if I get in Devon Achane shape, you never know who's going to call.
Oh. I'll tell you what, those trainers get a hold of those guys, and they put on 20, 30 pounds of muscle. It takes a season to do it, but they're absolutely amazing. I mean, good for that guy, and I hope he stays healthy because he has all the capability to be probably the number one running back in football. I mean, because
top 1 to 5.
Those 3-4 weeks when he was on fire, I mean, there was no stopping him.
Look up. Top 1 to 5. Calvin Krim.
He was on fire last
Hey,
year.
Smitty, who are some running back bounce back candidates? Ramondre would be a good one. Jack of all trades, if you got one you want to toss in. Kenneth Walker. Yeah, that one I'm going to disagree on, but look, hey, you never know. Science is biology, science, healing, therapy, all that stuff, stem cell. Who knows? But
it all depends how he's working.
He's so mangled. His knee's so mangled, man.
I know. Hey, I just threw a name out there. What are you gonna do?
But I think bounce back. Kenneth Walker's 62 overall and running back number 16. He could definitely.
I'd like to see Jacobs bounce back. I'll be honest with you.
I mean, he's not going to bounce back. He's going to be a top 6 running back. Top 6 or 7 running back. He's going to be more than bounce back. I don't think you could even consider him bounce. Well, I guess he is. I mean, he's on the revenge tour. So, yeah. All intents and purposes, regardless of whether people see him coming as a bounce back, he's still a bounce back. Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't put him on the revenge tour. Here's the revenge tour. Time for some.
All right, guys, you can put me on pause because tonight I'm eating steak.
Okay. Well, steak's okay. Just don't, just work out. You got the Bowflex out. Use it. Another bounce back candidate could be Javonte. Another bounce back candidate could be Ramondre, obviously. And I think those fit the bill. Walker, Ramondre, Stevenson. Those are the big name guys. As far as like smaller guys, deeper players, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's a lot. It's more like sleepers and breakouts, like Spears could break out, but that's not bounce back.
I always like Foreman,
Foreman?
Yeah.
Deontay Foreman? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that guy.
Okay. I'm going to leave that one alone. Hold on, Jack of all trades. Hang tight right there. Go cook your steak. I'm going to go back over to Sebastian, then to Ron Navy. Sebastian, you got anything else you want to add? Thank you, Calvin Krim, for dropping the $2 hauler. By the way, anybody drops a $50 hauler on the board up here, we'll throw it up there. The winning prediction is going to help co-host the show with me, and there'll be prizes. So get your $50 hauler predictions in. Go ahead, Sebastian. You're live again.
With everything that's going on right now with the whole Rashee Rice situation at 4.5, 4.6, are you buying or fading at that ADP right now as of this very moment?
Rashee Rice?
Yeah, he's mid-round 4.
I'm not drafting him. I mean, he'd have to fall to like the 6th or 7th round for me to even consider it, bro. So he's a total avoid. He could be out the entire season. Like, maybe they kick this into 2025. It's certainly possible. But even then, bro, he's going to be in his own head. He's going to be worried about this thing. He's going to have court. He's going to be, you know when we say a player holding out, being away from the team, creates injury and bad play? This doesn't, he's not immune from this thing going in that direction. He's not immune from having the remnants and feel of a holdout while he's trying to endure all this mental stress, what's the most stressful thing in the world? Probably money. Like that's what makes people stressed out. Like there's different things that make people sad, depressed, all that. But like anxiety is financial. That's at least one of the top 5 guaranteed on everybody's list, right? So this guy is being sued for $1 million, probably more by the end of this whole thing because there's more victims, right? 2 people are suing him. There's a 6-car pileup. So he's got financial problems. He's got to probably pay back that Lambo. I wonder what's in his insurance as far as like what he's at fault for drag racing, leaving the scene, all that. How much financial liability, going to court, all that stuff. This guy's on a rookie deal. I'm not saying he makes chump change. He makes more money than any of us make, but he is certainly going to be out of it if he didn't already spend it on how he's been living. He's at a Corvette and leasing a Lamborghini and obviously parties like a rock star. Who's to say he even has $1 left to his name right now, let alone has money to afford all of this? The stress and mental mind game he's going to be going through and being on it. Like I said, he could be out for the season or he could be just a mess all year and then be out of all 2025. I'll put it this way. I don't want him in Dynasty. I don't think he comes back from this at all because if he does get suspended this year, it's a long road for him. If he doesn't get suspended this year, it's going to be 2 wasted years because this year will be a wasted year. Next year, he'll be suspended. It's worse for him to not be suspended this year. He could get it out of the way and have just 1 year gone, be a comeback story. But the moment he misses 2 years like that, he's done. I don't want him in Dynasty. I don't want him as a decision maker. He makes horrible decisions. He was sketchy coming into the league, and he does this right away. I don't want anything to do with him. Totally out. Smitty disapproved.
Yeah, I wasn't liking him either, but still intriguing. But yeah,
still intriguing.
You got Zay Flowers right there. He seems a lot safer.
Still intriguing. He's not intriguing at all in the 4th round. Not at all, bro. His ADP on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. Please hit the link right here and join so you're ready to go. So you're ready to rumble. We'll be drafting together on the regular very, very soon. If not, like we're doing it now by dropping private draft links. But if we look at Rashee Rice's ADP on Underdog Fantasy, bro, he's going at freaking, good God, he's going at, he is falling for sure. He's going at 43 overall, which is wide receiver 27. So he's dropping like a dead weight, right? Down into the ocean. But Higgins, Dunze, Flowers, George Pickens, like we're not gambling on George Pickens over Rashee Rice. Come on, of course we are. Jaden Reed even I like more. Hollywood Brown is going at 60 overall. He's better because he's the replacement for him. He's the one working out right now with Mahomes, catching footballs. And I know he's an injury risk, and Rashee Rice is like 2 spots below Cooper Kupp, 3 or 4 spots below DeVonta Smith. Higgins is 1 spot below him. No, thank you. That's redraft. Dynasty, I doubt he's falling as much in Dynasty. I want nothing to do with them. 0% shares of Rashee Rice this year. 0. I timed out on, we're doing one of the 12-man drafts together last night together, and I timed out on Rashee Rice. I was like, son of a bitch. Here I am touting not to take him, and then I took him. But that's the only time I'll own him, is I time out on him. Because he floats really high, and so if you get timed out, he'll sit there for a while at the top, and he'll be one of the most timed out players that you get. All right, hold on, Sebastian. Let me put you on hold here. Ron Navy, you're live.
Hey, that happened to me last year. My only share of the guy I can't stand.
Which
that I
one?
wouldn't draft. I never drafted him, but I've had that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What else you got? What do you hear? What do you say?
I think I really want to see anywhere. I want to see Bowers go to the Jets. I want to see. I want to see him with the Jets. I think Aaron Rodgers. It would do Aaron Rodgers good to have that tight end weapon. Yeah, they got Conklin, but I mean they can run 2 tight end sets. But I want to see Bowers with the Jets. I think.
Yeah, the best landing spots for him would be the Chargers. Would be great, because they take him at 5, or they move down and take him. And then he's the best pass catcher on the Chargers roster in a very diluted passing attack that will still be potent enough to feed, Bowers a ton. So Bowers would be great in the Chargers situation. He wouldn't be good in New York without a quarterback. Atlanta's met with them or inquired. I forget if they actually met with them yet, or they're going to, or they're definitely interested. Which is, a lot of people say you can't do that, but I wouldn't care. I'd take both tight ends. I'd run 2 tight ends. You could put Pitts all over the field. You could put Bowers all over the field. I wouldn't be scared to do that personally because he's a generational talent. What?
Who would you take though between Bowers on Atlanta? Who would you take between Bowers and Adunze?
Adunze. Just because, it is better fit. You don't have to, have a weird offense or whatever. But, I'm just saying, if you're sitting there and Bowers is there, and I'm not scared of taking best player available in some of these scenarios, even as, a GM. The people that passed on Adrian Peterson because they didn't need a running back because they were pretty good at running back was laughable. What did Adrian Peterson go, number 8 overall, I think? I forget. But it was so obvious. It was so obvious, And Marvin Harrison Jr., you don't pass on him if you're Washington at 2 or New England at 3 or even Chicago at 1. If your alternative in all 3 of those situations could have been Fields. So you're Chicago, you keep Fields, you take Marvin Harrison Jr. Or you strategically trade down to 3 because you're probably going to get Marvin Harrison Jr. because you're keeping Fields. So Fields can't be there for Washington or New England. So you know that you're getting Marvin Harrison at 3. And if you're Washington, you trade for Fields and you draft Marvin Harrison. You're New England, you trade for Fields and you draft Marvin Harrison Jr. There's zero excuse for everybody passing on Marvin Harrison Jr. from 1 to 4. In my opinion, I think Adunze could be near as good. I think Neighbors could be near as good, but this is the best prospect in the draft. And I'm not offensively, ridiculously slanted because Sauce Gardner was arguably my number 1 overall player in his rookie class. So I'm very, very, I believe, objective with it. It just so happens that I believe in offense more than I believe in it to a degree in defense when it comes to big playmakers and what they can do for your turning your franchise around. But there's no excuse for passing on MHJ. There's no excuse for passing on Adrian Peterson. There's no excuse for passing on certain guys that have this kind of generational talent. And if you are Brock Bowers, you're a team that has even Kyle Pitts, I wouldn't rule it out. I'm not saying I wouldn't see Adunze as a better fit because I think Adunze is generational too. But if Adunze's off the board, Neighbors is off the board, and MHJ is off the board, and Bowers is sitting there, it's very hard for me, even as Chicago, of course, as Chicago, to say, why wouldn't I take Bowers? Oh, you got Kmet. Who cares about Kmet? Kmet's dog water compared to Bowers. Figure it out. Bowers is going to me no matter what, and especially if I had that Fields option. Can you imagine if the Denver Broncos brought in Bowers and then traded for Justin Fields? You have 2 amazing pieces for your offense to turn it around. Crazy.
Yeah, I think Indianapolis, Seattle, and Cincinnati, if they had the clout to get up high enough to get Bowers, those teams could use him, I think, pretty good.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Cincinnati has they want to move up that high. They're going to have to move up if they want them. But they haven't had really good luck with their tight ends in the last years.
Jack of all trades, he hung up on the phone line. Appreciate you, man. Call back in if you got another one. Yeah, I agree with you, Ron. I'm hoping that the Bowers goes to the Jets. Theo, did you have anything else you wanted to add, pal?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Theo, call in tonight. We'll be live again, bro.
All right, cool. See you.
All right, later. Sebastian, you got anything else you want to add, bro?
Chicago should not have traded Justin Fields. They should have gone.
For
they
sure.
should have either gone Marvin Harrison Jr. at 1 or sold that first-round pick for the world and built around Fields.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. If it was me, I would have traded down for. I would have taken Marvin Harrison Jr. I traded down to 3. But if you told me I couldn't do that, I would trade down and get a Dunze and get the world. And it like you give me operational control of Chicago. I wouldn't have brought in Waldron. I would have brought in Kingsbury. I'd have brought in Kingsbury. I would have kept Justin Fields. I would have, if I wasn't moving down to get MHJ, it would be for Dunze. I would take Brock Bowers as well, and that moving down to 3 to get Marvin Harrison Jr. or moving down to 5 to get a Dunze, whatever that case may be, or Neighbors is fine too, would have afforded me some of their first round pick to apply to defense or offensive line or whatever. I would have turned this Bears team around in a snap. But instead, they're looking at Caleb, and I don't believe in Caleb, and that's neither here nor there, and that's for everybody's got a different opinion on that, and that's okay. That's okay. We can all have different opinions. It's what makes the world go around. It's what makes fantasy so fun. But you got anything else, Sebastian?
No, that's all for now. Have a good one.
All right, bro. Appreciate you. Ron Navy, anything else?
Tell you what, Penix.
Oh, go ahead.
Penix Jr. I heard on the radio today. I had to go to a doctor's appointment, and I was listening to XM radio, and there are people out there thinking that just like you, Penix Jr. is the best quarterback in this draft class.
You mean this guy?
The Moon Man, dropping loads in outer space.
Well, I can't see it yet. Yeah, that guy.
Moon Man extraordinaire. I'll never forget after I put him on before the national championship game to just make sure it was on record and everybody knew where we're standing. And then he came out and had a bad game. And everyone's like, take him off. No, we weathered through the storm on that one. We weathered through the storm. It was rough. It was a rough storm. I admit. Like watching everybody come at me left and right. Penix Jr.'s garbage. He's not even going to be a first round pick, Smitty. And then it took a while. We swung back around, turned the ship around, got it back in the right direction. And now you have people saying he's maybe their QB1. Don't tell anybody, but he might be my QB1. Or at least he's a top 1 to 2 arm. Or top 1 to 2 in being ready, NFL ready. So, people are coming around.
He's got the best. I mean, he makes quick decisions. He's got probably the strongest arm. And he doesn't hold on to the ball. He has a fast release, and that's what you need in the NFL. My big concern with him was always his injury background, but so at some point you have to look past that.
Yep.
And
I mean, 2 years is a long time of not. 2 years in a clean bill of health, total, flying colors past his medicals. I think that really, really helps. I think that puts you, like, if you're still clinging on to 3 years ago injuries and you don't take into account that he's been injury-free for 2 straight years and got demolished in that national championship game and was fine. Like, he was banged up, but, like, he held his own. He stayed healthy and, God. He also gets rid of the football. Like, there's very few times you can even get to him. And that's part of why he stayed, healthy too. Is like he rarely ever gets hit. It was the national championship game. He took so many hits, it was crazy. But this guy gets rid of the football. He's a gunslinger, and he'll adjust his throwing style. I know people are kind of hard on his throwing style. Where's my football? So like Joe Burrow, for example, for people that want to think, if you don't know how to throw properly, you're in some trouble. You're entering the NFL. And Joe Burrow even went through this. Joe Burrow said that when he came into the league, when he first came into the league, he would go like this. He would throw with he'd throw with his arm, and he would not move his body. He says he stepped into the NFL, got shown how to properly throw a football, and now he uses his hips and his whole body to throw the football. And he's like, it's so much smoother, but he had to adjust how he throws instead of just throwing like this and using just his arm and just shoulder and the wear and tear on that. He literally went through all of college being as good as he was, having a completely different throwing motion. Now he steps back and turns his hips and absolutely, throws the football as a perfect form. So if anybody thinks like Penix Jr. comes in and, they don't love exactly how he throws the football, he's going to be worked on right away because Joe Burrow was. Joe Burrow, one of the best college football quarterback seasons ever in the history of college football. He came out and needed work. So does Penix Jr., so does Caleb, so does everybody. And even to Caleb's defense, I say Caleb's going to bust. And I'd feel more comfortable saying if he was with Kingsbury and Washington, he could overcome all that. I'm not ruling out that Caleb can't somehow find his way to prove me wrong, but there's just a lot of mounting evidence, in my opinion, that's going against him to be Drew Lock, to be, Johnny Manziel, to be, there's so many factors, but he's got the talent if he just got the proper support, which I don't believe is Chicago because they've proven to not be time and time again. And I don't think Shane Waldron is that support. As I coin him as one of the best math teachers in the history of high school math, but you can't send him to Harvard to teach, trigonometry, to teach a bunch of, that's just the level of request and fixing and knowledge he needs to have to go do a good job in this scenario. He's not a wizard. He's a math teacher. Alpha's calling in real quick, Ron, and then I'll swing back over to you. Alpha, you're live. Hello.
Yo, what's up, Smitty?
What's up?
What's going on?
Just at work. What are you doing?
Just wanted to call.
What do you got? What do you got? What do you say? What do you hear? Okay, he left. Alpha, call back in. I don't know what's going on there. Alpha, call back in. I don't know if he hung up because he thought I was being rude, or I was just like, what's up? What are you doing, Smitty? Oh well.
You know what this?
Call back in,
Penix
Alpha.
thing reminds me of? The Penix thing reminds me of.
Big
you remember
Penix.
how it was when you were big on Hurts?
Yeah.
I was pushing back against you, Hurts, and then you changed my thinking on him, and this kind of reminds me of that. You kind of like got me going more toward Penix. It has that Hurts feeling to it.
You're getting that.
Hurts.
You're getting that big Penix energy now.
Yeah, it's the same type of
Call back,
same
Alpha.
type of feeling.
Yeah.
Same type of feeling.
Yeah, that big Penix energy is taking over. It happens. I mean, it happens to the best of us. It's hard to deny it. The big Penix energy is taking over, and everyone's going to see how good he is. He's such a good decision maker. And the thing that I like about him the most, and I think this is something that you like as well, Ron, because this is very Ron Navy like. He's man of principle, and I like that about you. Everybody does. But he's a hard-working, very articulate, very leader-oriented like communicator, and everyone that talks to him. I think remember Bijan, how impressed you and I both were with how Bijan spoke, how he communicated. I did end up sending Bijan on a little lap at the end of the year, saying, Bijan Robinson should have been more vocal and a little bit of diva, a little bit of dog to him to say, give me the ball. When Arthur was like, just sit back, and Bijan would get like no carries, and then on his Instagram stories being like, today was a grateful day, and it's like, get a little dog in you, just a little bit. I sent him on a lap. Yeah. He did. He came in this offseason and said, I'm going to run for 2,000 yards. So we like the dog that's in him right now. But the way Penix Jr. speaks and talks, it reminds me of Bijan in terms of like the guy just commands the room. And if you think he commands an interview, and everybody that talks to Penix Jr. says, wow, like, God, that guy's just knowledgeable, makes me believe in him and everything he's saying. He's going to command, the locker room. He's going to command the huddle. You're going to trust Penix Jr. when you're sitting there going, okay, we're down, 6 with 48 seconds left. And, we only have 40 yards to go because of the shorter fields. Can you imagine? Like, we got to adjust everything now. When there's time left, you can't give Mahomes any time left because now you're giving him the ball at the 40, 50 yard line. Like, this is going to be weird. I don't know how high scoring the league's going to be now with this new rule change, but all these stats are going to get thrown out the window. 40 touchdowns is nothing anymore for a quarterback. We'll see what happens. But Penix Jr., you're in the huddle. You know, Caleb's in there going, okay, on 2, and you see this the pink nail polish. He's like, on 2, and everyone's like staring at it, like, what's going on here? And Penix Jr. is going, hey guys, come here. We're gonna get this done. We're gonna complete this task like Devon Achane completed working out in the offseason. We're gonna smash the hell out of it on 3. Let's go break. And everyone's gonna believe it's true. It's happening. Penix Jr., follow this man into the gates of hell. Everybody's gonna follow this man, and this guy's a leader. He's an absolute leader. Maybe Caleb can learn this, but I think Caleb's worried about. Caleb's the guy. Penix Jr. is the guy that's in the huddle, that's looking in the huddle, doesn't care about what probably even the coaches or the fans or anybody's thinking. He's dialed in. Caleb's looking around at the stands, and they're like, Caleb, yeah, blue 32 on 7, squirrel. Is my mom up there? Where's somebody get my mom in the front row in case this play doesn't go well. I'm going to need to crawl into her lap and sob. On 3. On 3. Go. Let me move my man bag. On 3. Go. Blue 32.
Yo, Smitty, can you hear me now?
Yeah. What's up, Alpha? Real quickly, Alpha, let me have Ron give his 2 cents. He was going to say something, then I'll come back to Alpha. Go ahead, Ron.
All right.
No, I was going to say, Penix Jr., if he, I'm hoping Minnesota, because imagine that. I mean, Jefferson there, JJ, right? But Addison's going to feed. Addison, we saw how many times last year Addison was able to break the defense, the coverage, and get wide open. They're both going to feed if Penix Jr. goes there.
Yeah. Alpha, you're live. I didn't hang up on you, by the way. It just for some reason you dropped. But what's up, Alpha?
We heard you first, Alpha.
I have a question, Smitty. Like, could you grade a team I've been mock drafting? Because I'm preparing for my upcoming home league, and I've been like drafting a team, but I don't know like your thoughts. I mean,
hit me with it.
Can I tell you the team?
Sure, go ahead.
You can grade it.
Go ahead.
All right. So we got Jordan Love as quarterback. We got Jonathan Taylor and James Conner as my 2 starting running backs. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London as my 2 wide receivers. Jake Ferguson as my tight end. And I have 2 flex players, Jalen Waddle and Rashee Rice. And my bench is Samir White, Trey Benson, Jaleel McLaughlin, Deontay Johnson, Dontavian Wicks, and my second quarterback is Kirk Cousins.
1 QB?
Yes, 1 QB.
I don't mind this team. If I'm being honest, I don't think it's the team that's going to win a big, huge league. Doesn't mean that you aren't like a move or 2 away. If I had to like suggest where I think it's lacking by looking at this team, I feel like maybe it's like the 3rd and 4th best player feel like your 4th and 5th best player. Almost like somebody, and this isn't a knock on London, because London's a fantastic, he's going around 2, but I feel like he's going so high. I feel like somebody came in and took your 3rd/4th rounder off the roster. It just looks a little bit light. But doesn't mean that Benson can't go to Dallas and become a monster. Doesn't mean Zamir White's not going to be the man. And you've got your 1, 2, 3 players there, 1 flex going on strong, and that St. Brown, London, and then Waddle, or Waddle's your flex. This is a really good team. I just don't know that like this. If you're telling me at the end of the year this is the winning team, I'd be shocked. But it doesn't mean it's
What
bad.
am I missing?
I just think that like you're drafting Rice too high probably. Waddle too high probably. London's going just a little bit too high for my liking. It doesn't mean I don't love London, but just a combination of, I think you're taking a few guys just a little too high, and at the end of the day, it's accumulating a little bit of risk to me, and I'm at the end of the day, I'm looking at this team going, something's missing. So just, maybe draft a little variance. I don't mind JT or St. Brown. Those guys are not taken too high at all. I just think that between London, Waddle, and Rice, and all on the same team, you've done some reaching.
Okay, gotcha. As for a grade, where will you go?
C. Sorry.
rough. All right. Thank you.
Well, it's a mock draft. Why is it rough?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's nice that you're being honest because that's.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's no bedside manner on this channel.
Yeah, thank you, man.
We know. I've had somebody drop a $20 super chat, and I'm like, no. And then they're like, there's no bedside manner here. You get honesty here. It's the way it is. All right, Alpha, hold on. Mute yourself if you could. Let me go over to Travis Rowe. Travis, you're live. Marsman Travis, what's going on?
Hey, Smitty, what's up?
Yo.
Just listening to that last guy talking Waddle. I think you feel the same. I'm always kind of like hesitant about him. He seems like he gets banged up a lot. Sorry, I saw a stat the other day. He's actually in the top 10 in total yards in the past 2 years for wide receivers. So yeah. I know he doesn't get many touchdowns, but I kind of don't know what to think of him, really.
Yeah,
I'm always hesitant on him. But
let me reverse engineer his draft real quick, and you tell me if you agree or disagree. So even if we took, let's say we took Waddle out, and we put, and I'm not saying I don't love Jordan Love. I'm not saying that at all. But you take him out and you put Mahomes here. And that's very doable. I might even be undershooting that. So we take out Waddle and do that. We take out London and put Jacobs in here maybe. Now you have Jacobs, you have JT, and then you take out Rice and you put in who are the receivers? I'm trying to think of what wide receiver we could get. Let me just go look real quick. Rice, you're talking about let's see here. DK, DeVonta Smith, Cooper Kupp. You put in Cooper Kupp right here, who's right next to Rice. Like all of a sudden, Mahomes, JT, Jacobs, St. Brown, Cooper Kupp, Zamir White Benson. Now it's a B+.
Yeah.
And I went early quarterback.
I agree with you. I wasn't even disagreeing so much on the team. It's just that.
No, I know.
It just kind of reminded me on when I saw Waddle, and I kind of wanted your thoughts on him. If you've changed your thoughts on him at all.
I'm super high on Waddle this year. That's why I keep drafting.
Well,
him.
draft him and then stop. Like get a lot of shares of it. Get it out of your system. You know, it's like you're traveling. You graduate college. You want to travel for a little bit. Go travel. Go do it. Get it out of your system. Come back. Go experiment. Your little college experiment. Go experiment, get it out of your system, and come back to the real life. Cooper Kupp, Jacob. I mean, tell me that you don't think this team looks better. If you don't like Cooper Kupp, I'll erase him and put somebody else in here. But tell me this team doesn't.
I'm not a fan of Cooper Kupp.
Okay,
I am not.
DeVonta Smith, you like him? DK Metcalf, you like him?
I'm lower on those guys.
I like both.
Super high on Rice.
I like both of them.
Super high on Rice.
Rice gets suspended for like 2 games. I'm super high on him. For only 2 games.
Okay. We're on different. Yeah, I got rid of Rice. I already replaced him. So DK, you okay with DK? Like, what are we talking here? DK?
Yeah, I like DK.
Okay, or Tank Dell? You like Tank Dell better than DK?
Oh man, that's close.
Let's just leave DK. DK, St. Brown, Jacobs, JT, Mahomes. This team crushes that other team.
Yeah, it does look better.
It does. It's much more balanced.
Wait, who's the wide receiver 2? Oh, it's DK, right?
It's DK or it could be Dell. Dell finally officially dropped into round 4. Thank God. Thank God. Dell's back. Dell's back. We can now draft Tank Dell again. You can't draft Diggs. You can't draft Nico. Stroud's unbelievably low, a great deal in the. What was he at now? Did he climb? He climbed above Mahomes, so Mahomes is a better value though. I love Mahomes more. Oh no, Mahomes climbed back above him. The data just updated. CJ Stroud's in the 51.4. Mahomes is 51.2. They're identical. They're both at 51.
Mahomes is QB4 right now in ADP.
Right now he's tied with CJ Stroud essentially. But my whole point is you can draft Stroud. You can draft Tank Dell. Tank Dell's now a 4th rounder, and he's comfortably in round 4 too. He's not necessarily like at 4.1. He's like at 4.3 or 4 if I remember correctly. He's at 38.8. So 38.8 puts him at 38 is what? 38 is I always struggle off the top of my head to spit the number out. 38 is 4.2 to 4.3. So he's right at 4.2 to 4.3. So he's not at 4.1 on the turn. He's getting deeper in there. That's a fantastic 4th round pick. I love Tank Dell in the 4th round. I don't go near him in round 3. Don't go near Nico or Dell in 2. The only guys to draft right now. If you want to say that the Houston Texans have a stack, the stack is Dell and Stroud. Because you could get him at 4 and 5.
For the Texans, like, how much are the Texans gonna pass the ball this upcoming year? Like,
a lot.
Last year they were middle of the pack in pass attempts, if I'm not mistaken.
About as much as Devon Achane likes to work out.
Gotcha, man.
Yeah. Anything else, bro? I'll put you on hold.
No, that's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, they're going to pass a lot. Stroud's going to do well. I think people have a tendency to overvalue Stroud, but they don't on the underdog ADP. Best ball, no. In the real world, like you draft with 12, 11 buddies, and you live in, I'm not throwing this out to relate to Houston, especially if you lived in Houston. But if you're a couple buddies and you live in Nebraska, and there's 12 of you, Mahomes might go in the first round by Steve. Stroud might go at 18 overall from, your buddy who's a firefighter or a police officer or something that, he's too busy, works like a dog because they're two of the hardest working, professions in the history of hard-working individuals. Let's give all of our firefighters and police officers a standing O. But I have a bunch of cop buddies, and I have my one buddy. He'll always have the second rounder no one ever sees coming. in the third rounder, he's too busy protecting all of us. He can't research like all of you. And so that buddy, you always have that buddy in your league that will take him. So like Stroud on average will get taken a little higher than I think he should in a regular league, but in best ball he's a fantastic deal. But I think Stroud doesn't because of Diggs climb into QB1. I know a lot of people want him to be QB1, but Diggs isn't going to make him that much more valuable than he was already, and I already had him around QB5, which is fantastic. I mean, he's a great quarterback. Real quickly, guys, on my phone line, if you could hang tight real quick, let me just get these super chats out of the way that are on screen here. Matt O says Stroud, Dell, or Mahomes, Hollywood. That's a great question. I think because Hollywood's far enough away from Dell that Dell Stroud one could be very, very attractive. I'll probably go Stroud Dell, but very arguable because I love Mahomes this year. But Stroud and Mahomes are really close. I think Dell and Hollywood could be, but I'd rather have Dell. I'd rather bank on Dell. Burrow is the best QB, true QB in the NFL, says Young. Appreciate that comment. I love Joe Burrow. Hector, $2 hauler, Dynasty startup, ETN, Adunze, or Bowers. I'm going to go with Adunze personally. Unless it's a tight end premium, then it's going to be Bowers, but I'll go with Adunze. I think Adunze could be the next Jamar Chase. And John with the $5 hauler, will you please make another rookie wide receiver video with the 10 guys you didn't rank in your last video? With the 10 guys I didn't rank in my last video. I don't know what 10 you're talking about, John, but I certainly have a rookie video coming. The thing is, I don't think I'm going to do it before the NFL draft. I think as soon as the NFL draft happens, I'll be dropping my new adjusted rookie rankings, and then you'll have mock drafts and all that. I think it's kind of like with roughly 10 days left, that content won't survive long. And so I'd rather just talk rookies and stuff like that. I might do a rookie show, if that helps you. Who's rising? Who's falling? Who should be, looking to? Let's see. Zach says, Achane booty. Don't fall for it. Guys, let's everybody throw a heart emoji or some sort of emoji that signifies like you want to hug Zach. Zach doesn't have any shares of Devon Achane, and it's obviously he's showing that right here. Don't get mad at him. Don't rub it in his face.
We need Zach.
We need Zach. We need Zach. Zach, we need you. We need more. We need you more than you need us. We need you to spread the word that Achane's booty and that not to fall for it. We need you, Zach. And also give him a hug. Give him a virtual hug right now, because this man has not one share of Devon Achane. You can read it all over his message and face. This poor guy, he's suffering down deep. Down deep, he's really hurting. He's lashing out, and he's crying out for help. Hug him. Alpha. Final thoughts, Alpha.
Final thoughts. Why would you say Rashee Rice is an avoid in draft season?
What do you? I mean, I don't know if you were here for the beginning part of the show. You can rewind it.
No, I got late. I got it late.
Okay, yeah, go watch that part. But I mean, like, why would you want him? Why don't we start with you? Why don't you convince me? I'm gonna sit here and listen to you. Go ahead.
All right. So the second half of his rookie year, he was going up when he finally got more snaps. He was averaging like 17 points per game. And he also had like a almost historic yards per route run mark. He was like top 10, something like that.
Hold on, really I'm gonna take notes.
All right. So he had, I'm pretty sure he had his yards per route run were top 10 of all time as a rookie. He also averaged like 17 points per game when he finally got more snaps in the second half. And he's looking like the number one option for Patrick Mahomes and like the heaviest, pass-heavy offense in the league. So that's why.
Have you missed the news?
No, I didn't.
I'm half joking.
Okay, so everything you said was great. Everything you said had to do with last year. Everything you said had to do with as if, like Travis just said, you came out of last year and none of this happened. Then guess where his ADP was? Guess where his ADP was? About end of round 2, which was kind of like London's ADP. I didn't love it at all. And before Rashee Rice got in trouble, I said stay away from Rashee Rice in the second round. He was going like in the top of 2 or bottom of 2, top of round 3. It's just way too costly. You've got there's no room, any wiggle room for sophomore slump or anything. So hold on. Hold on, bro. So there's that, right? You've got that this guy climbed out of 2023 as a rookie on cloud 9, and everybody loved him. And you just recited all of that, which I think makes sense if we were to get in a time machine and go back. And you're trying to convince me, Smitty, he is worth the late second round. I'm telling you, this is why. But you didn't address any of the problems. You're putting on a blindfold, and you're just walking into this offseason as if you're hoping everything kind of goes away. His value, of course, has dropped. He's now going in round 4, round whatever. But that is not a far enough appropriate reaction ADP-wise to what he's potentially looking at. Bro, he may never play again. That's a small chance.
I think that's an overreaction, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I just said. It's a small chance. Him not playing at least 4 to 6 games is probably 50% likely at this point. The only reason it's not 100% likely, because he's going to plead guilty to some level. He's not going to plead down to a tiny little charge. There are 8 mounting charges that could go all the way up to, I'm hearing now, even 16, 17, 18 actual charges, okay? He's not getting out of that. This is not, he fought somebody and they can get this 2 charges down to 1 stupid little disturbing the peace like Kamara. This is 8 charges to start with, 8 counts that can climb anywhere upward to 20-something counts. There's no way to slip out of this. Texas has already made it very abundantly clear. We're not going to just plea on this one. We're using this spotlight to finally resolve and address a problem that we've been struggling with in Texas over and over and over. Texas ain't playing around, that we're going to make an example out of this guy. And in a worst case scenario where I get this wrong, bro, he still misses 4 to 6 games. That is a 50% chance of that happening this year, though, because this could get pushed into 2025. If it gets pushed into 2025, he's going to be a head case, bro. Kamara was a mess the year he was trying to deal with all this. He's going to be in and out of court. He's going to be constantly dealing with this. That is similar to a holdout, because he's going to be like not in the right state of mind, not practicing the same, not out there with the team the same. Hollywood Brown's going to take a lot of his work, and he's not going to be anywhere near in the same mental, physical practice capacity that he would be in had this been resolved and he got suspended for 6 games and gets to. So he's either getting 4 to 6 games in the best legal scenario, a year, a minimum of a full year suspension on a guilty plea, because the NFL brings down the hammer when you plead guilty to a criminal, not misdemeanor, a criminal charge. They bring the hammer down in the letter of the law and policy of the NFL. That is the worst thing he could do, is plead guilty to some sort of, I mean, not the worst thing you could do. It's the worst thing you could do in terms of like the plea parting in him accepting something. Your assessment of him skating out of this is what you're kind of feeling is very optimistic, and I want no part of it when I can get DK or DeVonta Smith or any. I'd rather have JSN, DeVonta Smith, Hopkins, DK. I'd rather have so many other players than Rashee Rice at round 4. Henry's.
Let me say something.
Motion detected at the front door.
Yeah, go ahead.
Some quick. So I follow a lawyer on Twitter. His handle is Drew Davenport FS, and he does like reporting of this stuff. And he offered his opinion on it, and he said, "I think 1 to 2 games seems more plausible than it did before. I was mostly on 0."
You know what? I look. I get you, but I don't care. Like we've had attorneys on here too. Like that. Just I don't know. I don't know or care about his opinion because I don't know it, and it doesn't matter if he's a lawyer. In some ways, there are doctors that try and play fantasy, right? That know less about injuries than I do as it relates to fantasy football. I'm not saying I know more than this attorney or anybody else, but I do know that we've had attorneys on to talk about this. I do know that this is ever changing. I do know that this could go 100 different directions. That's why I gave you the 4-game suspension, or even in the best of best case scenarios, the 1 to 4 game suspension. But that still, you got to account the 4 games. There's no way he's getting less than Kamara. So he's getting like we'll call it a 3 to 4, not even 1 to 4. 3 to 4 game suspension in the best of scenarios. So I don't care what attorney says. He could face prison time, bro. I don't know what your fault. What do you mean? Come on. Are you paying attention, Alpha? Are your eyes open at all? He crashed and caused a 6-car pileup and ran away from the scene and put people in the hospital.
I'm not condoning what he did.
I hope you're not condoning. I already assumed you're not condoning that, Alpha. Or I would have hung up and send you on a lap. Okay, so what are you talking about?
I keep reading
Keep reading what? You're reading the wrong stuff. You're reading the wrong stuff. You're following the wrong people.
Come on, man.
You're reading the wrong stuff. You're following the wrong people if you think he's skating. You're playing an optimistic game of how can I get the best value that other people are sleeping on. And you're doing it with the player that's in a real bad spot. And it's only getting worse for him. And Texas wants to throw the law down on him. Is there a world where I'm wrong? I thought Alvin Kamara was going to get a lot more of a suspension, so I can give you that as ammunition that you could throw at me and say, Smitty, you thought Kamara was going to get 60.
Kamara was a steal last year.
I know. I told you he was a steal last year. Alpha?
He was. Yeah, I'm here.
He was on the Moon Man list, Alpha.
Yeah, he was.
Right. The year prior, he was not. Alpha, how did he play during his legal trouble season? Horribly. Yeah, he
wasn't that good.
Right.
Yeah.
How's Rice going to play during his legal trouble season? Probably horribly. Why? Mental, Alpha. It's mental. He's going to struggle mentally. He has probably no money left. by my assessment, my pure speculation, this guy spends money like Achane spends time at the gym. This guy is absolutely probably bleeding money at this point, and he has a Lamborghini he just demolished that probably violated every single contract that he signed in terms of the Lambo. He's got a Corvette he totaled. And the obligation, this getting sued for $1 million here, $1 million here. He's going to have so much legal troubles. This guy's going to be stressed out to the max. Now you apply the pressure of he's got to produce to get the next contract to be able to pay for all this. I as much as I feel bad for him on some level because he's a young kid, he still did something that nobody can say they've done. Who's racing 119 miles an hour, making the stupidest decisions you can make, and once you cause the crash, you leave everybody to fend for themselves and you run off the freeway with your entourage. A group of bad decision makers. It's wrong, but what makes you think this is a fun gamble to take in the 4th round, Alpha? It's the 4th round. It's not like we're talking about round 7 right now, Alpha.
I read this from this attorney.
I know you read it. I don't want to hear where you read it from. I don't care. No offense. I look at this all day long. I'm looking for every single piece of information I find and trying to help me come up with my decision. To be honest with you, I don't care if you read it from a Twitter attorney. Like, it doesn't, I don't care what his opinion is. I've looked into it deep enough to where his opinion means nothing to me. Maybe he's a great attorney, and I'm not saying he's necessarily wrong on all these different things, but I don't care about it, is what I'm saying. Because you can you can make a lot of speculative guesses at this point. You know what I don't like is an opinion that acts like they know what's going to happen. That's why I'm giving you a bunch of different scenarios, because we don't know. It could go from 8 counts to 14 counts. The NFL is heavy-handed 1 minute and not heavy-handed the next minute. He could plead guilty. He could not plead guilty. He could he could do jail time. The fact that you think he couldn't do jail time is laughable to me, Alpha, because this guy committed what is now looking like amounting 8 to 14 counts.
Right.
I don't mean to be so hard on you on this topic, but I'm trying to make you exercise a little more caution in your shares of Rashee Rice and acting like it's a value. It's not a value in the 4th round.
Here's the thing, though. I don't draft until August. So by the time I draft, I will already know what's going to happen. I know you don't like that because you always say that we should be drafting now. That's the good stuff, right? But I only draft until August, so yeah.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you. I'm not trying to be hard on you. I'm just being hard on the topic that you're cemented into. I mean, you're cemented into it, bro. You say you're not condoning it. I'm not saying you are, but you certainly feel like this is not as big of a deal as anybody else. And I'm not saying that you're historically inaccurate in assuming these things will go better than they do, because that will be actually the more accurate stance. You bet against the NFL doing something extreme, you'll win 8 times out of 10. I just feel like out of all the scenarios we've seen lately, this feels like one of the 2 out of 10. It really does. It's getting worse and worse by the day. And everything I'm hearing from people I trust more than I'm not saying if I didn't read into the guy you're talking about, I could start to think, we've had attorneys on here before all the time to give their 2 cents. I don't even always agree with them. Sometimes I don't agree with the explanation given by Tony, the Tiger attorney we bring on, or Brandon, who we bring on. But I do greatly respect their opinions, but this is volatile. It's completely volatile, and this thing's only getting worse before it gets better. There's no way this gets dumbed down, brushed under the rug. Texas ain't having it, my man. They aren't. It sounds like it's going to be a growing problem, and it's going to go from 8 counts to potentially 14 to maybe higher. And you don't slip out of 14 counts, bro. It's going to be a guilty plea. And the plea is going to be not a plea to slip out of it, but a plea that will be, what's the least amount of damage I can do? And he's definitely sealing his fate for 2024 or 2025 when he makes the guilty plea. But can I plead guilty to a charge that gets me half a year instead of a full year and gets me no jail time? He's going to be so worried about jail time by the end of this that he won't worry about the season. The season's going to be the least of his problems. He's going to be put in a box to say, hey, you're going to plead guilty to this to avoid jail time, and it's going to end up costing him a year of football. And instead of fighting it, he's going to be more worried about being guaranteed to not go to jail. Being guaranteed by this plea to not go to prison is going to be more important than worrying about the season at the moment. He'll take his lumps. He'll come back. He'll try and like Tony is, I think it was Tony that said it. He's far more advantageous for a player like Rashee Rice with a young career ahead of him to take his lumps now, let this ruin the 2024 season, and then he's out 1 year. And 1 year is going to zip by really quickly. He's far more at a disadvantage to let it linger all year, ruin his 2024 season, and then miss 2025 and now be entering another year, 3 years later, and he's already forgotten about in the NFL. He's already been passed on and moved on. No one's going to move on from him for one miss year, but they will for two. So expediting this is to his advantage. It really is. And real quickly, let me go over to Rob in 1 second, but let me get Sebastian real quick with this $5 hauler. Allen, Burrow, Gibbs, Kyron, Warren, White, Chuba, Dell, Hollywood, Terry, Corley, 11 pick, best ball smash. So Allen, Burrow, Gibbs, Kyron, love that. Rashad White, that's fantastic. Wide receivers, Adele, Hollywood. I like this a lot. I would say this team could be better not going bully quarterback with the Burrow, Allen, and a 1 QB best ball, if you could transfer that value over to wide receiver and then get like Aaron Rodgers and Fields combo behind Josh Allen. I like bully quarterback, but I'm just saying at the end of bully quarterback or bully tight end, even though it can be fun, sometimes it feels like in retrospect a mistake. I'd rather you have one extra wide receiver in this specific build, and then I would say it's in the verge of a B+ draft. So good approach, and it's fun to try different scenarios, Sebastian. Rob, you're live, and again, I'm sorry, Alpha, to come down hard on your stance. I'm just trying to prepare you, and there's a world where you're correct, and I'm like, God, the NFL is ridiculous. There is a world for that, but at 4th round value,
Right.
What I'm trying to tell you, Alpha, it's not worth the risk with the options available on the table. Not even close. That's what my
No, you're
explanation
good, man. I like hearing your advice, and it's honestly good that you're honest and you're passionate about what you're saying instead of taking it lightly, right? So I appreciate that.
All right. Rob, you're live from Hawaii. What's up?
What's up, Smitty? I just wanted to call in, and I 100% agree with you, man. You in any redraft league, do not draft right. I don't care what round it is. If you start talking about rounds 10 or later, maybe it's worth a shot. But if you're going to use one of your top picks on this guy, knowing the situation, and that's just crazy. If you want to take a shot in Dynasty, then that's different. But the bottom line is he did face jail time because of what he did. We don't know what's going to happen. Now, if you want to wait and see how it plays out, that's different because, then the values are going to change. People are going to know. If you want to take a risk now, then you got to accept the fact that you might just get a 0 all through the damn season if you draft with a high pick. If that's a risk you're willing to live with, go for it. But in redraft, you got to completely stay away.
And I agree with you. And if anybody says this is different than Rashee Rice, you're correct in that the outcome was different. But had let's say he got injured in the vehicle, had let's say he killed somebody, it would be no different. Like if Rashee Rice was, let's say he did drink, and we can't prove he did, it's mere speculation, but it is one very solid speculative angle to say that he fled to get whatever was in his system out of his system rather than worrying about the injured people. Had he killed somebody and had substance in him and just was, let's say, trapped in the vehicle, the police come and he couldn't get away, it would be probably worse if someone died than the Ruggs situation. The only reason it's not worse than the Ruggs situation is he got lucky, no one died, and he abandoned the scene. And so I understand that the outcome might be different. I understand that there's parts of this that we're speculating on. But for anybody to act like this is not a big deal because it didn't cause problems, Texas is trying to say, look, He got lucky. We're dealing with this constantly, and we want it to stop, and you're gifting us, as much as that sounds like an awful way to say it, because it's an unfortunate situation, but you're gifting us a spotlight to now show everybody. Guys, turn the spotlight on this guy. Anybody out there wants to drag race and do what we're having a problem with, stopping in our state, watch what happens here. That's what everybody's trying to tell people like Alpha, that Texas isn't messing around. And maybe they dial it back. I mean, there's stuff involved, like people will get paid off. Like, we don't know. There's so many corrupt angles everywhere in life. It could go a different direction, but my final stance is this. It's not that what Alpha's saying is improbable to the degree of 0%. It's just at 4th round value, which is where Rice is going. There is 0% of me that is going to advise you to take a gamble until he goes into double that 6th, 7th round, 8th round value. Now all of a sudden Alpha's scenario is worth gambling on. In the 4th round, from a fantasy footballer's perspective, there's no advantage when you have a DK, a DeVonta Smith, all those guys available to you in the 4th round. Why in the hell would you go into this scenario with all this risk? That's what I'm trying to say.
Unless you cool with taking the zero, like I said.
Yeah. All right, hey guys, I gotta get out of here. Dinner's been ready for about 45 minutes. I got a text saying dinner's ready 45 minutes ago. I'm gonna be in some trouble. I'm coming back tonight. Rob, appreciate you calling in, pal. We'll see you later.
All right, y'all. Take care.
Alpha, thanks for calling in, buddy. We'll see you later.
Thank you, man. I'll be back.
All right, appreciate you. Travis and Ron, you guys have any final thoughts?
No, I'm good. I'll see you when you come back, Smitty. Go get some dinner.
All right, see you, Travis.
Later. Bye.
What, Ron?
I need help with my big board draft, 3rd round. Who do I take?
Who's there?
Well, right now, I got Bijan and Aiyuk. Who's there right now is Jacobs, Allen, Pittman, Henry, Laporta, Smith, DeVonta Smith, Hurts, Cup, and Dell.
Jacobs. I think Aiyuk was a little early for me. I don't think I would have taken him that early. But Aiyuk, Jacobs, and Bijan's damn good. I mean, at the end of the day, it's damn good.
I went with Bijan, and then there was a big run on the wide receivers. And I'm like, you know what? Aiyuk, if he goes to Pittsburgh, but if he goes to the Bills.
Oh, yeah, that's why you did it. You had a Pittsburgh reason. I get it.
Yeah.
He's drafting a Steeler. In Ron's mind, he was 90% drafting a Steeler. I didn't even think about that. Okay. So, but let me flip the script here. If let's say Jacobs is one of my more crafty late second round grabs, if things don't fall your way, and you're looking at RBs and you're like, damn it, just take Jacobs at the end of round 2. It's not a reach. He'll overperform from the end of round 2. And then if Aiyuk's in round 3, I don't mind that at all. So you just flip those, and I end up liking it. So you didn't make a mistake. I would take Jacobs. Jacobs to me has near 2nd round value guaranteed if he stays healthy, in my opinion. I love that pick. I like Henry a little bit too, but I like Jacobs more. I like Josh Allen, but I like that you can get Mahomes or Stroud later, or Burrow in round 7. So I'd pass on Josh Allen here. You might even get Hurts in the next round and be surprised. And if you get Jacobs, Hurts.
I don't have another pick. It'll be 12 picks, so I don't have. It'll be the 4-7 when I get
I've seen Hurts fall there. But if he doesn't, then get Mahomes in at 4-7 or Stroud in 5, or vice versa, or Burrow around 6-7, or Cousins and Burrow. Do a Cousins and Burrow mini bully stack.
That'd be good. I like doing those.
Yeah.
I like getting one of the higher rated one, and I like my underdog Kirk Cousins later.
Yeah.
So okay.
All right, Ron. See you tonight. Later, bro.
Thanks.
Later.
Bye.
Coble says the new law, the law is coming down on Rice. This isn't that far off from Henry Ruggs. People were injured, not killed, but you can add scene, fleeing the scene, which is horrid. Yeah, I didn't even really read that yet. That's exactly what we were just saying. So Coble's right on the money. You know, I think a lot of people, especially Texas law, is going to look at this thing like he fled. And why did he crash? He came. You can't assume. You can't charge him with a DUI. It's already over. That's not something that you can bring to the table anymore. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if someone said I saw him drinking like a sailor at the restaurant. It doesn't matter. You can't charge him with the DUI because someone saw him drinking. You can't. Somebody said, hey, what if you got a hold of his credit card and you showed that he had an insane amount of alcohol buying? Doesn't matter. He could say, I don't really drink and I pretend to, and I just dump it out and just keep ordering to look cool. You could say whatever you want. There's zero way you could charge him with the DUI now. And I think Texas law and everybody else is probably pissed off that he abandoned maybe for that reason. And if he didn't, he's a horrible person for abandoning. He either abandoned out of fear of getting it further in trouble, which is, you know, awful, and he's getting away with it, or he abandoned, and let's say he didn't have anything in the system, he abandoned and treated these people like they were nothing that he just caused a 6-car pileup with. So either way, it's cowardly. And I think he's in trouble. He's in trouble. This does not feel like a Kamara situation where I'm not trying to belittle what Kamara did to that guy, where him and his entourage completely demolished this man's, you know, body. And I think cracked his, if I remember correctly, cracked his occipital bone and all this stuff. That was horrible. But this was a fight. And a lot of people looked at it that way. Even though I didn't, they would say things like, hey, man, they just got in a fight. It got out of hand. Like, you really going to put a guy in prison for two dudes having a miscommunication? And what if that guy was just going at Kamara, calling him names and slurs and different things? Like, it could have just made him in an irate state, right? But they got in a fight. It was a fight, and it got brutally out of hand. And the guy, there's footage of the guy just like unconscious, and they kept kicking him. It was horrible. It was very, very bad, the Alvin Kamara situation. But it is a fight. This is different. This is a totally different level of negligence. And again, it's not like he was speeding, crashed, and then took ownership and tried to get people out. People go, look at him. You know, he wasn't drinking and he's trying to get people out of the car and he didn't want to hurt their neck, but he called and he was standing by the door and he's like really concerned. I feel really bad for him. He's a young kid, made a mistake. He's owning up to it. He's sitting there at the scene. Like, that is what you would want to see in the scenario where we could say mistakes happen and he's a young kid. The other angle of this, walking off with his buddies callously, you know, and then people are worried about what people are saying to him. Remember the guy with the video footage watching him walk off, and he goes over and he goes, they probably stole him. And everybody got irate about the fact that guy assumed that they stole the vehicles. What a horrible thing to say to people abandoning $1 million vehicles like they're nothing after they crashed them. Like, what a crazy stretch. That had nothing to do with profiling anybody. It was a natural reaction, and should be for anybody when someone crashes $1 million vehicle, causes a 6-car pileup, and runs away. That might not be their vehicle, is what a normal person would think. That's not a horrible thing to think. And everybody started ripping on that guy and defending Rashee Rice, who's cowardly walking off the freeway with his entourage. Not one of the entourage thought about going and checking on anybody. Not one from reports. One of the entourage picked up the phone and said, hey, police or ambulance or hospital or somebody, or hey, grandma, call the police. We crashed. I don't know the number. Please get somebody over there. Not one of them. And yet people are mad because the guy filming is like, why did these guys crash millions of dollars worth of vehicles and run away? Oh, that guy's such a horrible guy because he's making assumptions because everybody's running away. You got to be kidding me. All right, I'll see you all later. Meatloaf's getting cold. I'll be back tonight. Thank you to all my super chatters. We had John, 7, Calvin Krim, Hector, John, Matt O, Sebastian, and Coble. Appreciate you guys all dropping super chat fire. Devon Achane to the freaking moon. Bring it in, fellas. Set her down. Set her down. Devon Achane gaining what looks like 10 to 15 pounds of muscle, playing over 200 pounds in 2024, I might add. Over 10 pounds, maybe 15 pounds of muscle. Achane's climbing my rankings like no other. Look at that massive human being on the right side. Almost unrecognizable. I would say, God, are you related to that skinny kid named Devon Achane? Because you look kind of like him, just a stronger, muscular build of this kid. Is that your cousin? Is that your brother? Are you his father? Because you look like his daddy now, and you're going to go make all of people that don't draft you, you're going to be the owners of you in fantasy football will be the daddies of the opponents that decide to skip on you, like what's his face that's been crying about it all day in the chat. Get ready to be owned. Get ready to go get me a coffee in my league if you're going to be the one that passes on Devon Achane, because you're going to be getting coffee all year long. See you later.
Got him.
Today is Devon Achane Day. Workout. Join me. I'm going to be working out from this day forward. I'm getting in amazing shape, and it's because of watching the transformation of Devon Achane Day. This will be officially and forever on this channel, Devon Achane Day. April 15. Do something with your life. Join me. Work out. Walk. Even if you want to just trim down. Walk 10,000 steps. Whatever. It starts tonight. 4/15/2024. Devon Achane Day. See you all tonight. Hit the thumb up on the way out the door. Appreciate you all. I work for you. 140 of you YouTubers in here. Hit that thumb up button. 96 of you tweeters out there watching. Please make sure you get on over to the YouTube channel and hit the thumb up. See you all later.